Happy Thursday, everyone. How is everyone doing? Okay. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this other thing over here together. It is so cold today, y'all. Like cold. Hold on 1 second. Hey, Terry. Hey, Robert. Hey, Joanne. Hey, Miss Lewis. Hey, everybody. It is so cold, y'all, today. Oh, my God, it's cold. Lord, oh, my God. I had to go for my mammogram this morning. It was freezing. I did not want to go outside. And I hate taking a mammogram, y'all, because, ooh, y'all, ooh, that thing hurts so bad. Lord have mercy. But you got to do what you got to do. Let me see. All right, I got part 2. Hold on, y'all, because I got to put this from the beginning. Part 2. Now, I know if some people come in the chat, they're not going to know about the story. If they didn't watch the replay from yesterday, part 1 and part 2, they're not going to know what part 3 is really like. So I guess maybe they will have to go back and watch part 1. But I know a lot of people was hitting me up in the back end last night. Oh my God, D, I missed that live. That was so good. Oh my God, I loved it. But it was a good live. And if you didn't watch part 1 and 2, you may have to go back and watch part 1 and 2 so you'll know what part 3 is about. Because part 1 and 2 was really, really good. It was really good. So I'm trying to wait for some more people to come in so I can do part 3. I'm going to do part 3 and then I'm going to do another one too. Hey, Pammy Poo. It's 25 degrees this morning on my way to work. Oh, okay. Well, at least 25 is better than 13. Shoot. Oh, my God. Hey, Dream Girl. It was 13 here this morning, honey. 13, okay? It was cold. Cold. I don't like when it get that cold now. I'm just waiting for some more people coming in, y'all, because we're going to do part 3 from yesterday. Yeah, we're going to do part 3 from yesterday. I want to start it in the beginning. Hey, Miss Joy. Hey, Miss Robinson. I missed part 2 from the other story. Which one? Are you talking about the story with? Oh, which one? Because I don't cover so many. Are you talking about the one with the baby mama took the father to court? Y'all, I got the story, right? I got the story, but then every time I go look for the story, if you're talking about that story, I can't find it and pull it up. But I did find it. I did find that story. If you're talking about that story with the baby mama, let me know if you're talking about that story, Miss Robinson. Oh, you talking about that story? Okay. All right. I did find that story. I did find part 2. I found it. So I'm gonna try to look for that story again tonight, and maybe I can do that. Oh no, can I do it tomorrow? Wait, because I might got a bigger story coming up tomorrow. Let me see. Maybe I can find it while I'm live and try to do it today. The one with the restraining order. Right. That's the one you're talking about. Yeah. I knew you was talking about that one. I had a feeling you was talking about that one. Yeah. I did find that story. Yeah, I found part two of that. I definitely did. So I see y'all like the stories, huh? I'm glad y'all like the story times. I'm glad. That make me feel good. That definitely makes me feel good. Um, okay. So that story was juicy. It was but Miss Robinson, the stories we did yesterday was even better. Oh my God, people was hopping on a panel. That was a good story. Well, I did three stories yesterday. Matter of fact, I did one story with the young girl. She was in the army. Her and the baby father was in the army, and he was married. She was in the army. She got pregnant by a sergeant that was married. So I did that story. I said that was a good story. I gotta see if that's a part two. I'm not sure of that. Now, then the other two stories I did yesterday, I did part one and part two of a wife wanting a divorce from her husband. But it got real crazy yesterday. Okay, you saw that one? Okay. So yeah, so I guess y'all I can just start the story and more people come in. They may have to watch the replay because I don't like keep going back and forth. You know what I'm saying, y'all? I don't want to keep cutting y'all off in the chat that already, you know what I'm saying, here to take them back to the story. I don't like doing that. You know what I'm saying? Because then it throws y'all off. Like yesterday, it was so many people coming in the chat because they love that story. And I had to just stop and, tell them what the story was about. But I don't want to go back to the beginning of the story. That's what I'm saying. Hey, Lisa Oaks. Hey, Alexis. So, y'all, we're going to get into part three. And I'm going to go to the... Hold on. Hold on, y'all. I gotta make sure here. I know this is better be the right story. Wait, hold on, y'all. I gotta get back to the right story. This is not the right story. Now, what happened to my story? Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. I had it right here on the screen. What happened to it? Hold on, hold on. Hold on. Because I know that wasn't the right one. Now, how did my story come off the doggone screen? Hold on, y'all. I'm getting it to load. I had it up on the screen, Mom. How I got disappeared like that. I like to have stuff ready for y'all already. And I had it ready, so I don't know what happened. Maybe I did something, didn't know I did it, but let me see. And what the hell happened to... Okay, here we go right here, guys. All right, coming up. Okay, I got the...
lives, but I'm not going to run up. I'm not going to cause a scene. Just knowing where she is when she's with the children is enough for me. So now we're getting into a normal rhythm over some time of exchanging the children. We're
Okay,
still
this is
meeting
part
at the
three.
police station, which I'm not totally
Hey,
happy about,
Lachey.
but she's
I
saying
left
it's
you
a
a
good
message,
place that
Lachey,
she
in your
feels
inbox.
comfortable and safe to exchange the children. So I kind of
Put a
have
one
to
in the
agree.
chat, y'all, if y'all can hear it.
So we're starting to get into a little
Now,
bit of
this is part
normalcy
three
of
from the ones
changing
that
the
was in the chat
children.
from yesterday.
She's keeping them a week, I'm keeping them a week, and we're getting into a little bit of a rhythm. On one particular day that we exchange the children, it turns out that it's June 5th. Now, if you remember, I told you we met on June 5th, 1997. We got married on June 5th, 2000. And now we're
Hey,
meeting at
Auntie
a
Cherry, good
police station
afternoon.
to exchange our children on June 5th, 2020, which would be our 20th wedding anniversary. And I'm just searching my mind in this situation. And I haven't totally lost hope in the relationship yet, which people have told me I'm crazy for, but I haven't totally lost hope. So I go out and I get a big bouquet of roses. When we meet at the police station, I get out of my car, I go over to her car, and I say, who would have thought we'd be celebrating our 20th
Okay,
wedding
thank y'all.
anniversary under these conditions? And she agreed, and I hand her the roses. She takes the roses, she says thank you, and she throws them in the passenger seat. And then I say to myself, look, I can take them back. If you don't want the roses, I'll just take them back. She says, no, you gave them to me. I'll keep them. But based on the way she handled the rose situation, I'm starting to, my hope is dwindling. But I hadn't lost hope. I hadn't lost hope fully. However, on one particular day after that exchange, I'm going through her Instagram account. I'm lurking her Instagram page. Yeah, I lurk her Instagram page, whatever. I'm lurking her Instagram page and I come across a picture. And I don't know what it is about this picture that made me realize the relationship is over. She's standing on a balcony. It's an oceanfront view. It looks to be maybe in Florida. And I'm not even realizing that she's traveling at this point. She's got an outfit on that I've always found to be particularly sexy. And she has less on under this outfit than even I remember. And she's just standing on that balcony with a look in her eyes that there is not a care in the world. And I'm also thinking there's probably a man on the other side of that camera. And at that point, I realize it is over. And also during this time, I had started seeing someone else as well. So I wasn't being totally faithful to the relationship at that time either. So
Mm.
at this point, it's over. And I just got to figure out a way to move forward in what is now our new normal. So it's still COVID. And so now I'm at home. I'm all alone when I don't have the children. And I think about my brother who says he was going to try to come back down to try and figure out a way to come back down to provide me some support. So I call my brother and he says, look, man, I want to get down there to help you, but do you remember when I was sick, when I came up there to see you? Yeah, I do remember. He said, you remember I thought I had a hernia? Yeah, I remember that. Did you ever go to the doctor to get that worked out or figured out what that was? Yeah, man, I did go to the doctor. I have cancer, bro. And I'm like, what? I have cancer. I'm having to go through chemotherapy. I have to go through blood transfusions. Man, it's tough, but you know how we are, man. We're going to push through. And I'm like, absolutely, bro, do what you got to do. And I'm realizing he's fighting for his life. I'm fighting for my family. And we got to be tough in this moment. So after some time, after finding that out about my brother, I get another phone call. Hello, who is this? Hi, is this Mr. Rockman? Yes, this is Mr. Rockman. Are you the father of, and they name my children? Yes, I'm the father. Yeah, I need to meet with you. Okay, but I already met with you guys before, and the last case was unfounded. What is this about? Well, I need
The
to meet
ones
with
that
you.
wasn't in the chat
They
yesterday, he
come to
talking
my
about
house.
CPS.
They sit down with me. Sir, we have some information that you've been doing some inappropriate things with the children. Have you done this, that, and the other with the children? Absolutely not. I've been through this already. The last case was completely unfounded. Where's this information coming from? I gotta imagine this is coming from my wife again. And I told the last CPS person that there's no way that any of this happened, and my wife has some mental health issues. Well, sir, anytime we have an investigation, we have to take it seriously and we have to follow all of our steps. Well, I'm asking them, what happens if a person is making false accusations? Well, there's really nothing we can do as far as that. But if someone makes a claim, we have to follow through with it. And another thing, sir, we're going to have to keep the children in the care of the mother until the investigation is over. So you telling me I can't even see my kids while I'm going through this process, even though the last claim was unfounded? Yes, sir, we're going to have to get through the whole process. Okay, let's get through it. There's nothing there. And after a couple of weeks, exactly as I told them, it comes
Hey,
back
Joanne.
unfounded.
You came
It's
right on
complete.
time.
And I'm totally shocked. At this point, I'm totally upset. I get my children back. I hug my children, and we're trying to figure out where do we go from here. Now I'm realizing the relationship is over. There's nothing I can do at this point. So I decide to move to a different area just to lower my expenses and get prepared for everything I'm about to face. Around this time, it was time for us to have our first court hearing. So when we go to court, the judge asks, where are you all exchanging the children? And then we say we're exchanging the children at a police station because for whatever reason she's claiming she doesn't feel safe. But the judge doesn't buy it. And the judge decides that we're now going to exchange the children in my area where I've moved to. So I'm kind of elated because this is like my first victory in this whole process. And the judge said something that I thought was very interesting before we left. He said, be careful because these things don't always go the way you think they're going to go. And so I like that's interesting. But then we move forward. So now it's coming around the time for the children to go back to school. So in the area where I live was a wonderful school district. The schools were right next to each other for the children. All they have to do is take a bus and a bus to school and a bus back, and they're done. Very simple. My ex claims that she still lives in the same school district where we were before. But I know that's not true because remember, I put the tracker on her
On the phone,
and I
in
know
the
that
car.
she's
Yep.
living in a shelter, which is not in the same school district. So then I tell her, I say, look, provide me documentation that the children, that you live in the same school district, and I'll agree, even though for me, this is like a 40-minute drive. But I said, I'll agree to let the children stay in the same school district, if only if you provide me documentation. But I know she can't provide the documentation, right? So then, but I'm like, but I think this new school district where I am will be much better for the children. And I said, we don't have to put Max in daycare anymore. They all will be very, very close. We cannot come to an agreement. So it comes to a week where the children are with me. I take the children over to the school. They look around. They're excited. Look, children, the schools are right next to each other. Max doesn't have to go to daycare anymore. You all can be right in the same area. They love it. They're excited. So then I talk to my ex again. I say, look, I took the children over there. They love it. They're excited. They think it's great. Can we just go ahead and let the children go to this school? Because I know she's not in the same school district. But I don't let her know that I know that. But she still doesn't agree for whatever reason. So now we're at a standstill. So now it comes time for the children to actually start school. And it just so happens on the week that school starts, the children are with her that week. So you can imagine what she did, right? She started the children at the school district of her choice. Now, let me explain to you what that looks like for me. 40-minute drive from the new area where I live. Max had to go to daycare, but I'm thinking I'm just going to keep him in this kindergarten as opposed to going to daycare. But then the other two schools for my other two children are about 10 minutes apart for each other. So you're talking about dropping off at three different locations every single morning, picking up at three locations every single afternoon. This is bananas, as opposed to a bus ride home and a bus ride back. So on that week, she started them at the school of her choice. Now it comes the following week, the children come back to me. Now I have a decision to make because I'm thinking, do I go ahead and just let the children, like, forget what she's doing? I'm going to pull the children out of that school and I'm just going to enroll them in this much easier situation for everybody, including my ex. Uh, am I just going to go ahead and just enroll them there and say, forget what she's doing? But then I think, well, if I do that, when the children go back to her next week, yep, guess what she going to do? She going to pull them out of my school and enroll them in the school. And I'm like, I'm not going to play that game with the children. So I decide I really just want to do what's in the best interest of the children. That's my only focus at this point. And even though I know this is going to be much, much, much more inconvenient for me, for the sake of the children, I decide the best interest of the children is for me to just keep them in the school district where they are. I got to drive 40 minutes. I got to do 3 drop offs. But guess what? The children don't have to go through. They don't have to go through me enrolling them 1 week in this school, then going back to their mama and she enrolling them. And then I have no idea what that will look like because we hadn't at that point gotten to a final decision on who would have final custody of the children. So now she has to come, my ex, to my town to pick up the children for exchange. I'm no longer meeting at the police station. So on one particular day, she decides to send one of her friends. Now, this is a mutual friend of ours, so it's not a big deal. But when I'm with my children and we're driving to the exchange, I say, hey, your mom's not picking you up today. Her friend that we know is picking her up. And my son says, Dad, I don't feel safe when I go over there. And then I talk him through it like, what are you talking about, son? You don't feel safe. And I try to gain a little bit of understanding. But this is a mutual friend of ours. So I really kind of talk my son into it like, it's going to be okay. Like, these are our friends, no worries. But we're in a different situation now. And so, but I asked my son, do you want me to say something to them, about the fact that you don't feel safe, just so I can make sure it's cool when you go over there? Yeah, Daddy, I want you to say something. So when we pull up to the exchange, pleasantries, hey, how are you? How are you? And I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, my son said he doesn't feel safe sometime. I just want to make sure, everything is cool over there. And she's like, what? Don't feel safe? Oh, we treat him just like we treat everybody. Everything is cool. And I'm like, okay, well, I just still wanted to let you know, just so you can understand that I want to make sure my son is good when he's over there at your house. And so, we figure that everything's fine. Like I say, the kids go on about their way. And then immediately, as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking to myself, my son just said he's not safe. Why did I send my
Yeah,
son
why did
there?
you let him go after
And
that?
I called one of my friends. I'm like, look, man, I'm thinking about going to pick my kids up. Like, my son said he doesn't feel safe when he's over there. And my friend was like, well, look, I'm going to give you some advice. If you go, take a police escort with you because he already knows all the drama I've been dealing with my ex. So he says, take a police escort with you. So I'm like, cool, that's exactly what I'll do. Now, I had gathered some intel to find out where this friend lives because they had moved since my wife and I had split. And my wife is telling, my ex is telling them that I'm a lunatic and I did all these wild things. And so now they're acting like they don't want me to know where they live. But guess what? I found out where they live. And so I pull up,
Y'all, this
I get
man
the
is a
police
genius,
escort,
okay?
and
He be on
it
point.
just goes crazy from there. I'm totally chill. Like, I'm like, as long as I get my kids, I'm good. But she is yelling at me and cursing at me and telling me I'm all these, this, that, and the other, because I'm coming to get my kids. How you gonna be mad at me because I'm coming to get my own kids. And so, like, she is, saying all these things to me, but I could care less because long as I get my kids, I'm good. So I leave, I get the children in the car, I leave, and I explain to my children that the most important thing for me is to make sure that they feel safe. And I will do anything to make sure my children are protected and safe. And, the kids were freaking out a little bit because she's yelling. I got the police there, but I said, children, I brought the police because I didn't want it to be any drama. And as it turns out, it turned into a little bit of drama with all the yelling and all of that. So that was a good move and a good advice on my friend's part to bring the police along. But I'm explaining to my children, your safety is the most important thing to me, and that's the only thing that matters. And so, they, like I said, they were a little emotional about it, but I think they understood. But guess what? I got it on tape because at this point, I started recording everything.
You want me to say something to them?
No, I'm scared.
What man?
Because I can say something to them.
Please do.
Okay.
But I'm scared too.
No,
You ain't too late, sis.
How are you?
Are you taller than me? Wait a minute. Did you just have a growth spurt in a month? What just happened? Did you? I promise. Seriously. I just saw her a month ago and she was not this tall.
How you been?
I've been good. How about you?
Josh is a little worried because he said sometimes I feel like y'all mean to him. So
Mean to?
I figured I'd say something to you. Take it easy on that brother.
We treat him the same way we treat everybody else.
I'll say something to you.
Okay. Alrighty. They're good. They're good.
Choose
Hold on,
fashion.
y'all. Let's get
Choose
back.
drama. Choose a club. Choose.
This next part is when I arrive at their house with the police escort.
J Dub. Come on, man. That's awesome. You got all the stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Just make sure everything is okay.
He said, why are the police here?
What's going on? Why is she calling someone?
Talking to your mom.
That's her husband talking. Asking if they had everything. Now she's about to start yelling at me and tell me I'm not welcome at her place because I'm picking up my own kids.
Thank you all. Thank you. Please don't speak that way in front of me.
Okay, I won't. But don't show up at my house ever again. And I mean that. You are not welcome here.
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
Hey, Denise.
Daddy, guess what?
What?
That person goes down.
Whoa. God.
She yelling and cussing at me because I'm coming to get my own kids.
Can I get the questions, please? Remember, it's 2 sides.
I don't care.
I told her it's 2 sides to every story, and she told me I was a sick person. I just didn't want to believe in everything that my ex told her.
Okay, let me explain to you guys. I'm so sorry to do this, first of all. But the most important thing to me with you guys is your safety. And when we oh no. When we first pulled up, what was the first thing that Joshua said?
Mom said she could be here at 7:30, but I said I can't stop you from taking the kids before then. She said she would try to get with you in Georgetown, do some kind of exchange with Georgetown PD today. Y'all can work that out. These people expressed to me that you weren't supposed to have the address. They don't know how you got the address here. They don't know why you're here, and you're not supposed to know where this place is. I'll let them know I can't do anything about that at this point. But if you come back over here and they want you criminally trespassed where you can't come up to the property, then unfortunately, I had to do what I had to do as far as that, which means I'll give you a piece of paper that says don't set foot onto the curb of the property, otherwise you go to jail for it.
Listen, man, I'm just trying to protect my kids.
Yeah, I know. I hear that.
I said I'm just trying to protect my kids.
That's the reason why I came to get you guys, because I thought about it when I left. Like, if you ever said, Grace, if you ever told me that, and we were going somewhere, Daddy, I don't feel safe, the first thing that I would do is come here. If Maximus said, Daddy, I don't feel safe somewhere, the first thing I would do is come get Max. If and Joshua said, what did Joshua say? I don't feel safe.
Daddy, Grace is like a little the worst way because of me.
Oh, I'm sorry, son.
Josh, it's not because of you, Josh.
I'm sorry, son.
This is why you got to be careful, y'all. You can't involve kids. You know, they be put in the middle of these divorces, and it's just
That's the
sad.
reason why I came, because I thought about it after I let you guys leave. I said, Joshua said he doesn't feel safe. And I let him go.
Josh, I just don't feel safe.
So if any of you guys, whatever the reason is, if any of you guys don't feel safe, I have to do what I have to do as a father to protect you.
I said I have to do what I have to do as a father to protect you if you don't feel safe.
This is a little unorthodox. It was fun, man. The most important thing of all is that I protect you guys. But Grace, remember this moment. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, if you ever tell me you don't feel safe somewhere, you know exactly what you're about.
I said if you ever in a place where you don't feel safe, you know exactly.
With the Personal Preference Program, you can choose and pay for the home care services you want. Hiring caregivers.
So my focus now moving forward is what's in the best interest of the children. That's the only thing that I'm focusing on, and how we can begin to move forward as co-parents. And based on our history of doing marriage workshops and seminars all over the country, our TV show where we spoke about relationships, all the things that we did, I always thought that if we were ever to break up, we'd be the ideal co-parents. But I'm learning that's the furthest thing from the truth. And I know y'all think I'm crazy with all the hell that she sent me through, but for whatever reason, I like in the midst of it, I think I was focused on the person that she was before, as opposed to the person that she is today that's trying to destroy me, trying to get me put in jail, take my life. I mean, I'm just not seeing it for whatever reason. I'm just staying strong to get through it. And I was probably being a little delusional, like I say, thinking about the person that she was in the past, but she certainly is not that person today. So now we're getting to the point where the children it's time for them to go back and start playing sports, and we have one of their sporting events coming up. And I pack up a cooler, put snacks and drinks and all those different types of things in it, and we show up to the game. We sit in the bleachers, and after some time, she shows up, but I notice she sits way on the other side of the bleachers. And I'm thinking to myself, why is she sitting way over there? Like, the kids are here, I'm here. Like, what's the issue? And I'm thinking that's weird for the kids. Like, you sit way over there, I'm sitting here. And so I tell the kids, hey, pack the cooler up, put your drinks in. Let's go over there. We're going to go sit next to mom. Because they were asking me, like, hey, can we run over there and go sit next to mom? And I'm like, let's just all go over there. I mean, we're still a family. Even though we're not together anymore, we're still a family. Well, we went, and I gave her space. I put the cooler in the middle. Children were in the middle, and she was on the other side. But at least, the kids don't have to go back and forth. Well, that turned out to be a little weird, but I'm thinking this is for the kids, so I'm not really focused on that. Well, after some time, it's time for the children their birthdays are coming up shortly after this, and I'm planning the children's birthdays. So once again, trying to think about what's best in terms of moving forward as co-parents, I offer her an invitation to the birthday. She refuses. She doesn't want to come. No, don't want to come to the birthday. And then I tell the children, mom said, she's not going to come to the birthday. They're like, can we call mom? Sure, no problem. They call their mother. Mom, we really want you to come to the birthday party. We're going to do this and that and the other. And she's like, no, we're just going to do something else and blah, 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 blah. She doesn't want to come to the kid's birthday party. They're disappointed. But once again, can't force her to come. So then we got to move forward. Shortly after this,
Yeah,
another time when
Denise.
it's time for the kid's birthday
And in the
party to
beginning,
come
I don't know if
around,
you was in the
there's
chat,
another
but he did
sporting
say
event.
he cheated on her
She
once.
shows up to the sporting event. She's got bags and gifts and balloons and all that, and the kids are excited. And she's brought a couple friends with her as well. So the kids are, oh, yay, thank you so much, Mom. We love you, this, that, the other. We go in, sit at the bleachers. Now, these are friends that she bought that I was also mutually friends with as well. They were more her friends than mine, but I knew these people. So I go and we all sit together. After that event, she sent me a text message. Don't ever sit next to me at the kids' games. Don't look at me. Don't talk to my friends. Yeah, just a whole list of anything that you can imagine. And once again, I'm thinking to myself, I thought we would be the model co-parents. And
I
once
don't
again,
know,
I know
sis. You can
y'all
ask
probably
Denise
think I'm
about the
crazy because this
counseling
girl is
thing.
sending me through
She
hell.
in the chat. You
So,
can
like I
ask
said,
her
I'm
because I'm not
probably
sure
being
about
a
that.
little delusional, but I'm just trying to think of like, just once again, what's in the best interest of the children. But she's not interested in that. She don't want anything to do with me. She wants me as far away from her as I can possibly be. So with that understanding, and now that we're getting closer to the divorce hearing, I'm saying to myself, I gotta do everything in my power to fight for the children. If I don't get the children, if I don't get primary custody of the children, she is going to make my life a living hell. She going to do everything in her power
Mm,
to
mm,
make my
mm,
life
mm.
miserable. And after some of those things that she did, and I know it took me a while to get there. You know what I'm saying? I know I probably tried to fix it a few too many times,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah, some states probably
you
do.
try to do everything that you can to keep your family together. But now I'm realizing I gotta fight for the kids because if there's nothing else that I love my kids and I want what's best for them. So now it's a must that I get full custody. And the court hearing is coming up really soon. Got to go back and tell y'all
Yeah,
something I
living
forgot to tell you.
hell.
So you remember
Sound
when I
familiar to
told you I
me.
had to pick my kids up because they didn't feel safe from a friend's house and all the drama that went forth with that. So the part that I forgot to tell y'all is that after that event, y'all heard where their mother was supposed to pick them up at 7:30 that night. So let me tell you what happened. So it was kind of a stressful day for the kids. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take y'all to the park. We're just gonna go play, have a good time. So this was like on a Sunday. So I take the kids, we go to the park, we playing, we having a lot of fun. My daughter is on rollerblades and she comes around the corner and she falls really hard and hurts herself. As a matter of fact, she fell so hard I had to take her to the ER. So I text their mother because at this point we were at least communicating just to exchange the children. So I text their mother and said, look, I got to take our daughter to the ER. She fell. She hurt herself pretty bad. So I take her to the doctor. She has to be on crutches. I never hear back from their mother. So this is Sunday night. I took your daughter to the ER, emergency room. I never hear back from their mother. So that's Sunday night. Monday, I never hear from their mother. Your daughter was in the emergency room. I didn't hear back from her until Tuesday. So on Tuesday, she messages like, "Oh, what's going on with Grace? Is she okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she's fine now. She's on crutches. She fell and hurt herself." "Oh, okay. Will it be okay if I talk to the children?" I'm thinking like, "Where were you? What was going on?" I message that. She never answers. So now she wants to talk to the children, and I'm suspecting some BS. You know what I mean? So I put the phone on
The
speaker.
wife sounds like she's a good
And now
manipulator.
she's
She
going
know how
over
to
to her,
get those
oh,
kids
hey,
back from
children,
him.
what's going on? And then the kids go straight into it, like, Mom, where were you? Like, I thought you were coming to get us on Sunday. And then she says, I was waiting on your dad. And I'm like, you waiting on me? Yeah, I was waiting on your dad. I never heard from your dad. Then I jumped in on the conversation like, you lying. Like I messaged you and let you know Grace had to go to the ER and you talking about you were waiting on me. There's no way you were waiting. I never heard back from you. What are you talking about? And she just fight. It's a back and forth. No, will you just let me talk? Let me talk to the children. I don't want to talk about this right now. You interrupting our conversation. I'm like, well, you're not gonna have no conversation if you're gonna be lying to the children. So it's a bunch of back and forth. And eventually she hangs the phone up. She just can't handle it. But I'm not gonna let you just sit there and lie to my kids and make it look like it was on me that you didn't show up. So then I pulled up my
Exactly.
phone and I
Tuesday,
showed
right?
my children all the messages. I said, look, children, as you can see, I talked to your mother. I said, do you see that where I sent that message? Yeah, Daddy, we see that. Do you see a response on that day? No. When do you see the next response from your mom? And I went all the way through the messages just to clearly show them that, look, I apologize that that conversation got heated, but guess what? I'm not going to sit there and let her lie to you guys and make it look like something that is not. She needs to just admit that she did not show up, which is irresponsible, and not try to take the blame on me. And I got the conversation recorded. You want to hear it? I asked them. So
Lord, this
over the
man is
years, I've done
crazy.
a
He
lot
ain't
of
playing with
research
her.
trying to figure out what is wrong with my wife. Like, what are all these different trips to the hospital, these manic episodes? And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what is going on with her. And I had ran across some information about bipolar, and I thought that maybe it could be that. I had saw borderline personality disorder, and I said, well, maybe that could be it. But then I ran across a word that I hadn't seen before as we're going through this divorce process: narcissist.
Told
And I
y'all.
started
Didn't I tell
reading
y'all that
the
yesterday?
attributes
Didn't I tell
of what
y'all
a
that yesterday?
narcissist is, and it
Where
was an
is
exact
OG?
match to all the things that I had dealt with over the years.
Told
And I
y'all.
said, well, maybe this could be it, what I've been dealing with all of these years. Because
Told
I
you.
remember at one point she
I
had
knew it.
told me,
I
and I
knew it.
asked her a
It's the
question, and I
person
don't remember
actions
how
that
we
they,
got
they
into
can
the
tell you
conversation.
if they have
But
narcissistic
basically,
tendencies
she
or
told
they
me
are full
everything
blown
that
narcissists.
was
This
bad
lady is a
that
full blown
happened in our
narcissist.
relationship was my fault. And I was like, so you're saying everything, all the years that we've been together, everything that I've done or everything bad that's happened to our relationship has been my fault? Yes, without a doubt. And she's standing 10 toes down on this statement. But I'm looking at all of these attributes of narcissists and it's really starting to make sense. And over the years, I've always had to walk on eggshells with her, being careful about what I would say to her. And as a matter of fact, I even read a book called Walking on Eggshells just so to learn how to navigate the situation of what I was dealing with. So, even dealing with her cutting off her whole family, not talking to her family. And then I saw this statement about gray rock and going no contact. But then I'm
Yeah.
like, how can I gray rock and go no contact when we have children together? This is going to be very difficult to learn how to co parent, but you're not supposed to communicate with this person. And I'm all about open communication. So I'm learning that this is going to be a very difficult process in order for me to get through. But once again, I also start to do research on preparing for your case, dealing with preparing for your custody battle, if you will, because now I know I got to get custody of the children at this point. And so there's a certain way that I had to go about it now, knowing that I believe I'm dealing with a narcissist. And, with all the missed visitations that she's had, all the false claims, the CPS claims, all of these different things that I'm getting, building together, all the recordings that I have and the documentation, I'm starting to think I'm building a pretty good case here. And I think I got a good chance of getting custody of the children. But before we go to mediation, because you remember I told you we had to go to mediation before we went to the final court hearing. Before we go to mediation, I decided to meet with my ex and I said, look, we need to come up with a plan before we go to court. Because if we go to court and let court decide, who knows what will happen. And at this point, I'm knowing that I think I got a pretty good case to get the children, but it's still, you never know when you go to court. And typically, as a black man, as a man, period, typically it defaults to the mother to get custody. But I'm dealing with so much drama from her. I'm thinking to myself, if she gets custody, she's going to make my life a nightmare. So I decided to meet with her. We got to create a plan. We got to go into mediation and then on to court and letting them know that we're trying to put some kind of agreement together so neither one of us gets screwed. But really, this is me trying to, and maybe this is me being a little cocky, but I thought I had a good chance of getting the kids. So this was me trying to throw her a bone. Like, look, just like the judge said, things don't always go the way you think they're gonna go. And so this is me trying to say, hey, look, let's try to create a plan so neither one of us gets screwed in the end. She does not agree. She doesn't want to do it. So then I got to move forward with my plan. So now it comes time for us to go to mediation. When we arrive at mediation, one of the things that the mediator says that is really helpful for me is that you don't have to agree to anything in mediation. And anything that you discuss, if you don't agree here, can't be used in court. Now, I had taken the chance to try to work out some sort of agreement between myself and my ex so that we could present a better situation for both of us. Basically, try to do my own mediation that was failed. We didn't agree to anything. So now that we come to mediation, I know my main focus is getting custody of my children. So as we're going through this mediation process, I'm remembering that the mediator said we don't have to agree to anything, which is exactly what I do. There's a lot of back and forth. Well, what about this? What if we do this? What if she has the kids this time, that time? I don't agree to anything because she's looking for the same thing that I'm looking for. I want custody of the children. She wants custody of the children. And the mediator is letting me know, you're taking a risk by taking this to court. But I feel like I got a pretty good case built up, as I mentioned. So I decided to take my chances. We're going to take this to court. We don't agree to anything in mediation. So now we got to move forward. We got to go to court. But keep in mind, this is during the time of COVID. So we're not able to meet actually in court. I have to go to my lawyer's office. When I go to my lawyer's office, this is wild because when I go to her office, she's a chain smoker and she's got an ashtray with cigarettes a mile high. And she's
Damn.
puffing on these cigarettes. I mean, every time one goes out, she's lighting up another one. And I can barely
Lord
breathe with
Jesus.
all the fumes from the cigarettes just encapsulating this office. And then she's got a dog in the office as well that's breathing. I don't remember what kind of dog it was, but it's the dog breathing hard, is licking and rubbing and scratching all up my leg. And then I'm nervous. My heart is pounding. I mean, I'm nervous as you can imagine. And the fumes and the dog and me being nervous, it was just overwhelming. So we flick on the Zoom as I'm dealing with all of this and trying to focus on getting through this divorce hearing. The judge comes on, and then her lawyer pops on because I was in my lawyer's office, so we're both on the same screen. Her lawyer pops on, he's there, but then she's not there. Then the judge says, hey, is your client going to show up? Is she going to be here? And I'm thinking, man, that'd be interesting if she doesn't show up. So her lawyer makes a phone call, sends a text message, and then after some time, boom, she pops onto the screen. And it was just one of those moments. I'm looking across the screen. I can barely breathe with the fumes and the smoking and the dog is breathing. And when she pops on the screen, I get even more nervous. Boop, 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 boop. My heart is just beating out of my chest. And I'm looking across at the screen at the woman that I've loved for 20 years, that we spent what I felt was a beautiful life together, aside from all the drama. And, on the outside looking in, for people that know us, we look like the perfect couple. And now we're in a situation where we've come to the end of the road. This is it. It's over. Like, this is the final frontier of everything that we've been through over all these years. And so now the judge comes on and he says, okay, was there any agreement in mediation? We both of our lawyers let them know there was no agreement in mediation. Okay, great. Now we're going to have to hear this case. Because she filed first, she gets to go first. So we're going to hear her case first. And it's time for her to present all of her witnesses. So then the judge asks, make sure that all the witnesses are prepared and here. And they check that everyone is set up in the Zoom because it's now time for her people to come and present their case for them to hear all of her witnesses. So now we've gotten to the point it's time for her to present her case and present her witnesses because she's the one that's filed for divorce, so she gets to go first. So now we're doing this over Zoom, and as she's bringing her first witness in, one of her friends from Tennessee pops up on the screen. And I'm thinking, okay, this will be interesting. And her lawyer begins to ask her questions. Tell me about your friend. Oh, we've been friends for over 20 years. She's an amazing person. She does this and she does that. And she has just been the best friend that you could ever imagine. Can you tell me about childcare? Who do you typically see usually taking care of the children? Oh, definitely her. She's an amazing mother. She does this for the children and that for the children. And I always see her taking care of the children and doing this, that, and the other. Just an amazing mother. And who do you think should have custody of the children? Oh, definitely her because she is such a good mother and she always does the right things by the kids. And it would just be the best thing if she could have custody of the children. Okay, great. And then now let's bring in the next witness. Thank you so much for your testimony. Now let's bring in the next witness. And then over some time, they get the Zoom worked out. And then the next person that pops up on the Zoom is one of her friends from Atlanta that she calls her godmother. And then they start to ask her the same list of questions. Can you tell me about your friend? Oh, this is my goddaughter. I have known her for 20 plus years. She's an amazing person, and she is just the most brilliant, amazing person that you could ever believe. And who do you think, or who do you typically see that's mostly caring for the children and taking care of the children? Oh, definitely her. She is an amazing mother. She takes such good care of the children. She does this, that, and the other for the children. And the children always look so good. And she is just the best mother. And who do you think should have custody of the children? Oh, definitely her because she is such a good mother. It wouldn't even make sense for the children to be anywhere else but with their mother. Okay, thank you so much for your testimony. And then they bring on, it's the same thing. They bring on another friend from Tennessee. Everyone's out of state that she's bringing on, and it's the same list of questions that they're asking. And then they get to a person pops up on the Zoom that's her friend that's here in Texas, the one that I told you I went and picked my children up from her house because my son didn't feel safe. So I'm thinking this should be interesting. What are they going to say? How are they going to spin this? And I'm getting nervous because that was a heated situation. So how is this going to go? So they start the questioning, same line of questioning. Tell me about your friend. Oh, we've been friends and I grew up with her and she was like an aunt to me and this, that, and the other. And she's just an amazing person. Who do you typically see the children take care of? Same thing. Oh, she is always taking care of the kids. She's definitely the main person, yada, yada, yada. Who should have custody of it? Oh, definitely she should have custody of the children because she is just the best mother.
They were all her
And then
flying
they go
monkeys.
into our situation. They ask, okay, we understand that there was a situation where Mr. Rockman came and picked up his children and things got a little heated. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then she goes in, yeah. He told us something about his son didn't feel safe at our house, and I told him we treat him like we treat everybody else. And so we were there. Everybody was having a wonderful time. We were just having a great time. And then all of a sudden, I get a knock on the door, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And then I go outside, and I'm like, "What is he doing out here? We're not even supposed to have this address." And then he talking about, "I'm here to pick up my kid." Well, your ex was the one who wanted the kids to be over here, and the kids are doing just fine. And he was talking about his kid didn't feel safe, and so we went on ahead and packed up the kids and sent the kids home. But the police was there, and it was dramatic. And I told him, "You are not welcome here. You are not supposed to be here. How did you even get my address?" And then, as she tells
He
her part of
funny.
the story, my lawyer comes in and asks, "Well, what was his demeanor while all of this was taking place?" Oh, and her response surprised me. She said, "Oh, he was cool, calm, and collected. He was cool, calm, and collected." And I'm thinking, thank you. Like, are you testifying for me? Because out of all the drama that she was spilling out and how tense the situation was, her saying cool, calm, and collected, I felt like, okay, maybe that helps me in this situation. And so they wrap up their testimony. They're done. That's pretty much their testimony. Just a bunch of friends talking about how amazing of a person she is, the little heated situation, the heated situation with the friend where I had to pick up my children. I was a little nervous about that, but I'm feeling like that has to sound good to the judge that in the midst of this heated situation, she stated that I was cool, calm, and collected. So now what happens next? It's time for me to testify. I feel like I've built up a pretty good case. I feel like I put my plan together. I only have two witnesses. She had about six friends come up and talk about how amazing of a person she was. Only had two witnesses. Now it's my turn to present my case. I feel like I've built up a pretty good case. And I'm thinking from my ex, she's had a bunch of friends from out of state talk about how much of an amazing person they thought she was. And then her friend, where we had this situation where I had to pick up my children, which could have been the most damaging towards me, she said I was cool, calm, and collected. So I'm thinking, like, it's not anything really that bad, that damaging that they've been able to present to me. So I'm feeling a little more confident, but I'm still nervous at this point. So it's downtime for me to bring up my first witness, and they call up my friend, the one that I told y'all we were trying to chase, my ex, trying to figure out where she lived. So that was my friend that I called up to the stand. And so my lawyer begins to ask the questions. Hey, how do you know the individuals here that are, that are divorcing today? Well, he mentioned they're mutual friends of mine. I was their next door neighbor for X number of years. And so I've seen them operate. They were a wonderful couple. And, it's surprising that now to see them actually going through a divorce. Okay, well, who do you typically see that cares for the children and the most custodial parent? Well, definitely Rock over the years has always been the most custodial parent, taking care of the children, making sure they have everything that they need. He's always taking them to school, and he's definitely been the most custodial parent throughout this process. But what do you know about the altercation that happened on, the big situation where they wound up splitting? He said, "Well, I don't know a whole lot about the altercation, but the day after his ex went to the hospital, I actually went and visited her. And when I went and visited her, she told me that, Rock knocked me unconscious, and, he gave her a traumatic brain injury and all these terrible things, how bad he beat her, and all these different things that happened." But he said, "I was looking at her and thinking to myself, it doesn't look like I'm looking for some marks, some bruises, some black eyes. Like I'm looking for some sort of sign that lines up with what she's saying. And what she's saying just not making sense because I don't see any bruises. She said she was choked. I'm looking for, choke marks. I don't see any of that. So it's kind of not adding up. And her demeanor is not what I'm used to seeing because she's very smart. She's a very bright individual, and her demeanor is very different now. So I'm definitely seeing that something is off. And then my friend says something that makes my jaw drop. He goes in and says, and in addition to that, she started to say, um, I've always wanted you. Don't you want me? Don't you want us to be together? Look, if you want me intimately, you can have me right now. I've
What
always
the
wanted you. I
hell?
know you've always wanted me. Rock never has to know what happens. It can just be between me and you. And I was like,
What?
this was
I'm
my
not surprised
first
because that's a
time.
narcissist for you.
Yes. And I
I
was
told y'all
like,
that they'll sleep with
what?
anybody you know.
She's offering and trying to give herself intimately to my friend, our friend. And so my jaw drops at this point. And he then goes on and continues to say that, Rock never has to know, and we got to get him. He's coming after me. He's trying to do this, that, and the other, and we got to get him. And just on and on and on and on and on. And my jaws drop. I'm trying to keep my composure because you got to keep your composure while you're on these Zoom hearings. But man, I am like, my mind is spinning at this point. Like, what did I just hear? So next, after my friend's testimony, they bring my lawyer calls my ex to the stand. And as I told you all, I had gathered a great amount of intel um, in terms of like where she lived and some other things that I had gathered to really help build my case. And so my lawyer begins to ask her questions. Don't you live at such and such shelter? And then you could see her eyes get wide because she wasn't aware up to this point that I knew where she lived. And so her eyes get real big, and you could tell even her lawyer had a kind of a surprised look on his face. And then she was like looking around, like, do I even have to answer this question? Because this is the place that's supposed to be keeping me safe from him. But the judge is like, yeah, please answer the question, ma'am. Yes, I do live at such and such shelter. Okay, yes, ma'am. And then after the event on 12920, when you left the home, on the next day on 130, didn't you have an altercation with the police where they had to put a bag over your head and restrain you and admit you to the mental health facility? And then you could see her lawyer was like, what? Like almost like as if he didn't even know about that. And
Wow.
then you could tell she was shocked as well. And then she's like,
Sound
yes,
like
that
she
is
worse off
true.
than
That did
BB.
happen. But, I'm suing the police. They treat black people differently. And this, that, and the other. And you could tell she's just totally stunned. And as I told you all, the way I got that information, and I hadn't told y'all that part yet about her having an altercation with the police the next day, but I had gathered that information through all the texts that I told y'all I was receiving. And she was building up her own timeline of events of what happened. And that was one of the things that I ran across. So I presented that to my lawyer, and my lawyer called her out on it. So then my lawyer's like, well, if there was any sort of traumatic brain injury, don't you think it would have come from that as opposed to a smack from your husband? And you could tell she's totally startled and fumbling over the question. So now she ends her testimony. Now it's time for my next witness to come up. So now we're getting close to the end. My ex has presented all of her testimony. I've had my friend come up to testify, and now it's time for me to bring up my final witness. And I'm still dealing with the fumes. I can barely breathe. The dog is still barking up my leg. And I'm just, every time my lawyer's not looking, I'm kicking the dog out of the way. Get out of here. I'm trying to get through this situation. And I'm also thinking that maybe I should have brought more witnesses. I mean, as I mentioned, my ex had 6 or 7 witnesses talking about how much of an amazing person she was. And I'm thinking maybe I should have done more. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I'm still not 100% sure if things are going to go in my favor. You never know in family court how things are going to go. And throughout my preparation, obviously, I talked to my friend, the one that helped me, chase her down when we were trying to figure out where she lived and we lost her. He was on board 100%. There were some other people that I had spoken with, but they signed off. They didn't want to do it. But in addition to my friend, I had the support of her family as well. And throughout the course of leading up to getting ready to go through the divorce, I had been speaking with her parents, and I also had been speaking with her sisters. And they were, as well as myself, were concerned about her having primary custody of the children because she had cut her parents off. She had cut her sisters off. They weren't speaking at all. And so we wanted to make sure that the children would have a great relationship with their grandparents and their aunties. In addition to that, we all understood the history of mental health issues, all the drama that we had been through. So there was also concern about my ex having primary custody as well, aside from her probably trying to make my life a living hell if she had primary custody of the children. So now the judge is calling up my last witness. And when my lawyer's preparing for the Zoom, okay, go ahead and bring up your final witness. Let's go ahead and get the Zoom set up. Let's get this person brought in. And so we're getting it set up. Boom. Then pops up on the screen her sister from Baltimore. And the judge says, "Who is this that we're bringing on?" And my lawyer says, "Oh, it's her sister, Your Honor, because they look like twins." And throughout the process of leading up to the divorce, we had agreed that her sister would testify on my behalf. And so now we got her sister staring on the screen, looking at my ex. And the judge is like, "I don't think I want this testimony. I think I'm ready to make a decision." But my lawyer's kind of not paying attention. She's going through her notes, looking for what questions she wants to answer. And then the judge says again, like, "I think I'm ready. I don't think we're not gonna do this. I think I'm ready to make my decision." But then my lawyer fires off a question. Yes, ma'am. Has your sister had a history of mental health issues? And then her sister responds, "Yes, she's had a history of mental health issues." And then the judge says, "Stop. That's it. We're not going to do it. I'm ready to make my decision. We don't need the sister anymore.
Wow.
Let's go ahead and get her off of the Zoom. I'm ready to make my final decision.
Wow.
I don't need any more testimony from her." And we were shocked, like, wow, what just happened? Like, she didn't even get to give a full testimony. Now the judge is saying he's going to make his final decision. And my heart is racing because I'm still not certain what's going to happen. So here we are. The woman that I've loved for 20 plus years, that I had so many wonderful memories with, it all comes down to this one decision, and it's over. This is the end. And I'm thinking to myself, did I do the right things? Did I make the right moves? I know I made some mistakes along the way, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm really hoping that things go in my favor because I had always said that if I get the children, it's going to be better for both of us because I'm going to make it as easy as possible for her as far as co-parenting is concerned, while I felt that she would make it as difficult as possible for me. So I'm definitely hoping that things go in my favor, but you never know at this point. But I'm just hoping that I put myself in the best position and that I've presented the best case that I possibly can. And the judge is now, he stopped all testimony abruptly, and he's ready to make his final decision. And I'm thinking, is it going to be me? Is it going to be her? At this point, I'm still not confident that I've done everything in my power for things to go in my direction. So I'm still nervous at this point. And the judge is ready to speak. And before he speaks, he reminds us and he says something to remind us of what he said at our first hearing, is that things don't always go the way you think they're going to go. And then this is what I think I'm hearing as he starts to speak. He says, child support to the mother, expanded SPO. And then he said some other things that kind of went over my head because at this point I'm focused and I'm looking at the screen, but I'm stunned. It's like I don't know exactly what's happening. And when he said child support to the mother, or at least that's what I thought I heard, I'm thinking, does that mean I have to pay child support and she gets the children? What does that mean? But then after he says all this, He lays his gavel down. Pow! That's his final ruling. And I'm just sitting there staring at the screen. I'm not moving because I really don't know what happened. And then my lawyer takes her cigarette, smashes it into the ashtray that's piled a mile high, and throws her hands up and says, "You won. You got the kids. And she has to pay you child support." And I was thinking, what? I did? And she's going on and she's hugging me. She's excited. And now realizing that I've won, it's hard for me to get excited because I immediately think, does anyone really win in these kind of situations?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
because my family's been torn apart. The woman that I love for 20 plus years,
Yes,
we're
Joanne.
not together anymore. Our marriage and the life that we've lived is over at this point. And so it's bittersweet. I can't really get excited. I'm telling my lawyer, I'm grateful that things have went in my favor. I wanted the children and have a relationship
Denise,
with both
yes.
sides of the family. So I'm grateful that
I
that
told you this
has
story
been
remind me a
done
little bit
as
of
easy as
BB's
possible
story
for
here.
her as far as co-parenting, and try not to make it difficult for her or for either of us. But I can't look at it as a win. I can't get excited about my family being torn apart. And it's interesting because the fate of your family
Exactly,
is
Denise.
decided when you're going through a divorce, is decided by someone in a gown and a gavel that gets only a slither of information as it relates to who's in the best interest to take care of the children. And in just one final decision, you just have to go with it, regardless of how anyone feels. And so I leave, and I had found out later on that she cried after the Zoom went off. And I can understand where she would have pain as far as that's concerned. And I would learn in future time, now that I have the children, that being a single father will prove to be difficult as well. But in the end, that's how my perfect 20-year marriage abruptly came to an end. Thank you.
She's been made herself available, and so that that's important, especially because these two individuals, they're like second parents to me, you know. So you gotta understand that, like, if they break up, it doesn't mean that like the children, like, we disconnect from everybody else, because we
All still love each
love
other.
them. Yeah. So like you still love them. So it's just like, So I'm really proud of you, for telling your side of things, because honestly, like, you always been a truthful person. I know, like, a lot of the internet is in the uproar and trying to figure out, like, what's right, what's wrong, da 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 da, and all that. Like
Calling
that's,
me the narcissist and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Like, because they don't know you. But I mean, it's TikTok and socials are not like actually real. Like, they're there, but they're not like
It don't bother me.
real. I know. I know it doesn't. But I want to tell you that I'm just so proud of you. We talked last night, so I just want to tell you I'm proud of you. And I know that my video went like slightly
That's the end of that, y'all. That was part three. Hold on, y'all. That was part three. So he did gain custody of the kids. And Denise is right. These men have to stop feeling sorry for these type of women. You have to. You got to do what you got to do. This man stood grounds. He stood grounds. This man went and lawyered up. He did what he had to do. He knew that that wife was a narcissist. And I said that yesterday when Denise and OG was on my panel. You don't look at what they say, you look at their behavior when you want to determine a narcissist. And just by the behavior that he was telling us from part one and part two yesterday, I said, this lady's a narcissist. And what did he say today? That she was. This lady was absolutely sick. You sure did, D. Yeah. I go by behavior. You understand what I'm saying? It's a difference being a full-blown narcissist versus being having narcissistic tendencies. Okay, because we all have narcissistic tendencies, right? But it's a difference. That lady was a full blown narcissist. She was a sick lady. She was sick, and he did the right thing. He did the right thing, and I'm thankful to God that he got custody of his children. I'm thankful. He deserved it. He This man went through hell and back with this lady. And on top of it, she had mental illnesses. You know what I'm saying? So I think he deserved it to have his children. She didn't need his children. She didn't need those kids. She couldn't even think for herself. Come on. She couldn't think for herself. She couldn't do anything possibility for herself. She was lying. She didn't want to tell where she was living at. Come to find out, she was living in a shelter. He was smart. He put a track on a car. This man was smart, okay? He was a smooth operator, as my mama would say. This man was not playing at all. Okay? He was not playing. Hold on, y'all. Get y'all up and running with another story right here. This man was not playing. This man was, he said, I ain't playing with you no more. It's time to law you up. And that's what he did. And I wish him nothing but the best and success with him and his children. And I like the way he protected his children. He said he wasn't thinking straight when the little boy said he didn't feel safe going to the mother's friend's house. He thought about it a little while, and he got the police involved. And he went back and got his kids. Now, do you blame that man for that? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Mm-mm. Not at all. Okay, this one I'm gonna do. Okay, hold on, y'all. I'm trying to get y'all something up and running. I'm just gonna wait till OG come up. Well, she missed it. She might have to go back and watch the replay from because I know she got a lot to say. I know she will have. Ooh, Lord. I know Denise got a lot to say, but she can't come up right now. But I know she have a lot to say. But I'm glad that I was trying to find every time I look for that story, I could never find it. Like literally no way I could find it. Oh Lord, this story got 6 parts to it. I can't do this today. Oh my God, y'all! I'll be here until Saturday. I definitely can't do that one. I mean, it looks like it's good, but there's too many parts. I will have to dissect this story over the weekend, and then probably mm, do it next week. So yeah, that's a lot of story right there. I'm coming, y'all. I'm getting y'all another story going on. This story here I want to do, but this is a part 4. See, stories like this, I have to break them down because it'd be a lot to them. So I would definitely have to break that story down to do part 1, 2, and 3. Okay, let's try this one, y'all. Let's see. This is a woman here in a toxic relationship.
Nickel Boys is one of the most
Okay,
celebrated movies of the year.
so let's check it
It has
out
now been
now,
nominated for 5 Critics'
guys.
Choice
Let's check it
Awards,
out
including
now.
Best Picture.
Hold on, y'all. Oh, come on.
Story time about how no baby, no daddy. He not even really my baby daddy. So we gonna call him. We gonna call him Ice because I feel like that's what he was doing at the time. That's what he was selling. He was selling drugs and doing fraud. He dead now, so he can't go to jail. And I'm gonna be real respectful because I have a man now and I love him so much to death. Oh, I'm so nosy, y'all. They done told these people car. Look at him scrapping it up at the store. You know, stole the people car from out their parking lot at the apartments. So boom, y'all remember I was telling y'all about the boy best friend that he had that I couldn't stand that he had died. Well, he ain't here with us either, but you know, he lied on me. I don't like liars, and ever since he lied, I couldn't stand that about. So
Ooh,
boom, me and Ice end up meeting through him. So one day we
she
was
sound
all
rough
cool because I
already.
had pulled up over there to smoke with him, my ex best friend. So we all cooling, chilling or whatever. Then I should have knew then because that night he tried to eat my pocketbook. Like I don't know you at all. Why are you trying to do that to me? But then I should have knew after a month he was telling me that he loved me. Like you don't know me to love. I could be a serial killer, and you love me. You love a serial killer. But yeah, let me cut to the chase. So we all end up meeting, linking, drinking, smoking, and shit. Um, the first time he didn't actually beat me up, but he was giving beat a bitch vibes because one of my homegirl and her boyfriend, they was in the area. She had called
Girl,
me
you
and said we
sound
finna eat some
toxic.
food. We finna get some food. You want some? I'm like, hell yeah, bring me some. So that's just how me and my friends are. Like if I'm around my friend, I know I'm by my friend. How's that girl finna grab some food? You ate, I bring it to you type shit. So he get mad. He get mad because they brought me the food. He gonna tell me some I had asked him like, you want something? He like, I don't want no food. That nigga bought. I'm like, the nigga didn't even buy you no food. I said they bought me the food. And I said like, why did you make like this? Something that I would be going on. Like I'm genuinely was confused. So he gets so mad, y'all. He started going off, calling me bitch, who did that? Like going in on me, and I'm confused. And I'm like, what did I do for real, y'all? So he had concrete walls in his house. So he ended up punching the floor and shit. I'm like, this nigga punching the floor. He might punch me, but he didn't punch me. Mind you, I was 18, young, you know. So he ended up taking me home, dropping me off. Then like an hour later, he ended up telling me some, come back. I'm sorry. What this, that, and third. And I'm like, no. But he sounded real genuine. He sounded real genuine, like he really was sorry that he did that and went off on me and called me out of my name and had threw a big temper tantrum. So boom, we end up going out to eat.
This chick is horrible.
What did he punch me for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't even know what I got beat up for the first time. I can't even remember.
Girl,
I
get
just
your life
remember
right,
him
child.
punching me. Like
You
he
make me
punched me
don't even
so
want to
hard,
listen
all
to
I saw
you.
was stars. Boom, I fall to the ground. He
Hey,
was
Miss
kicking me in my face,
J.
kicking me in my face, but he not doing it real hard. But it's still the fact that you doing it. Like, why are you doing it? So,
She's
boom,
not doing it real
I
hard.
get up. He immediately started crying, talk about he finna kill himself. He's sorry. He don't know what got into him. Woo, this, that, and the third. And I'm my dumb ass starting to feel dumb. I'm like, why are you crying? Just slow. He goes, I don't know what's going on with this and third. I'm like, okay. It's okay, baby. It wasn't okay. So that next day we end up going out to eat,
Yo,
right, y'all?
trauma,
So
boy.
we
The
come back
trauma of
from
these
out to eat.
kids.
I'm in there taking a nap. I got the itis.
You ain't
So
lying,
one of my
PJ.
homeboys had called me, but I missed the call. So I saw the missed call on my phone. So he
Denise,
ended up
Denise,
picking the
I
phone
don't
up.
know.
He ended up picking the phone up and seeing, because at that time I didn't care about no niggas going through my phone. I wasn't no, I wasn't gonna lie to you, like if you saw, you just saw. But he was like, who is this? I'm like, I don't know. So I ended up calling the number back, but I didn't know that was his number. You know how niggas do? A nigga switch a phone number like they switch their draws, which they barely do. But I mean, switch his draws every day. But I'm just saying. So I called him back, boom, it's my homeboy. Now I see the look on Ice's face, and I see that he mad, like he heated that this nigga called my phone. I'm like, he like, who is this? So I panicked. I'm like, I don't know. He might got the wrong number. It's not funny. Don't lie, kids. So boom, he immediately get mad. So my homeboy on the phone, I guess he end up, peeping the vibe. So he like, oh my bad, I got the wrong number. So I'm like, I'm glad this bitch ain't done. So he immediately get mad, y'all. Boom, slap shit out my head. I'm like, damn, why I do that stupid shit? So I'm like, why the fuck you do that? Boom. I ain't even healed
I
good
don't
from
even
the
think I
first
want to hear her,
time.
y'all, to
He
be
done
real.
slapped me again, but man,
You
y'all,
sound
he
ghetto.
hit
I'm
me
sick of her
hard. So like,
already.
it wasn't.
I gotta get her away. I'm sorry. I can't rock with her. She give me a headache. She just turned me off. I'm sorry, y'all, but she just no. I don't even like the way she talks. She talk ghetto ratchet, and I just can't. I can't deal with her, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. She too ratchet for me. I don't like ratchet stuff like that. Damn, I thought she would have a little, womanhood or something. But we see she don't. And I don't want to take my time up with her at all. She's just too much. She has started giving me a immediately headache. Okay, we got here. This one may be good. A man gives his wife a divorce after finding out the child is not his. Well, let's tune on into this one. Okay. This one sounds like it may
With
be
exclusive
a
games you
little
won't find
interesting,
anywhere else,
guys.
FanDuel Casino has your shot at the #1 feeling, which is still
Well, let's
winning.
see about it. Let's see.
Christmas, babe. Merry Christmas. This what, fifth one? Yeah. I want you to open my gift first. Hold on, sit down. I want you to open mine. The kids ain't
She
even up
gave
yet.
me a headache, y'all. I'm sorry.
I want you to open this. I want you to open this. You ready? The world, baby. The world in this bag right here. You ready? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm excited. But it's what's in it that's heavy on me. What's in it that's heavy. Well, I ran out of paper after wrapping the kids stuff. Nah,
Bro, you spoil.
that's just, it's in the box. You know it's in the box. You know it's in the box.
Yeah, I couldn't take her neither, Joanne. She was too much.
Hold on.
I don't like all that ratchet talk.
Hold on, dang. Let me move this stuff out the way. Move this stuff out the way. So this right here, this should show you mean everything to me. You everything. Go ahead. But it's in it. It's in it.
What?
It's in it. No, it's in it. I ran out of boxes, I promise. It's in there. That's the last. It's inside of there, I promise.
Oh, okay.
It's in there, like it's in there. I was trying to be thoughtful. I don't know. I thought that would be thoughtful.
What?
All inclusive, baby. All inclusive, baby. We going to Dubai on week. We going to Dubai. Merry Christmas. We going to Dubai. Look in it. The tickets is in there, baby. The tickets is in there. We finna be shaking out by like New Year's. The tickets is in there. Look in there. Yeah.
What is this?
DNA test report. Yeah. 0% paternity probability. Yeah. Our son? Nah, yeah, that's not me. This right here say my son ain't my son. And you ain't even got nothing to explain because this explained it already. Yeah, matter of fact, no, it's not. Go to the next page. I'm going to show you how much I'm joking. I'm going to show you divorce settlement agreement. Divorce settlement. I already pre-made it up. Divorce agreement. It's up. You know what that means. That means we over with. Get out my house. Get out my house. I don't care. Get out my house. Get out. I don't care. You ain't got nowhere to go. That ain't my responsibility. But I don't care. What you shouldn't have did was have me raise a kid that wasn't mine all this time. And I'm getting a DNA test on my daughter next. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm getting a DNA test on my daughter next. Get my paperwork. You ain't gonna sign a divorce. You ain't got to. Get out though. On gang. Get out. Not mine.
Wow.
What to do everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ.
Wow.
Another lit video. We back in the confessional. Yes, we stand lit. Big
That is crazy.
everyday people who rock with me every day. Shout out to my player partner, Look You Was a Deals and Keys to Lit. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comment section, man. Hit the links down below.
Wow.
MindLabs.com, where you can get those super fat burners.
Boy,
Big
if
cut
these
back.
women ain't something else.
Big and you could be slimmy like this lady, okay? Rico Freeman 816 has dropped a video about to divorce his baby mom, and the
Wow.
baby ain't his. Now this could be a skit, which I'm pretty sure it is a skit.
Yeah, it could have been a skit. I believe it. All right, I'll read your text when I finish. Okay, y'all, hold on. Well, I hope it was his baby. I'm tired of this baby mama drama. Like, ugh. I don't know if this. Let me see. Let me see what this one about. I think this is the one that. I think this girl was set up at a baby shower. Why would people stand there and let people fight? Oh my God.
Oh man. Y'all done beat me out of shoes, bro.
That's crazy.
I don't know, Joanne. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see nobody get beat up. I don't like stuff like that. Nah, I don't like stuff like that. Nah. I don't like all that fighting stuff. Now I wanted to play this one, y'all. No, this one is. Some of these things like part 5 and 4 and stuff, and I gotta like break them down. So, you know. Trying to find one, y'all guys.
It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing.
And that he's actually been bothering her since she was 10 and he was 15. The same day that you find out that he's cheating on you with his cousin and sending inappropriate messages to her.
Now this one here is the
You find out that
baby
he's
daddy
married
married his
to his
stepsister.
stepsister.
What in the
But they
world?
swear that it wasn't sexual, that he was in the Marines, so they did it for money.
Oh Lord.
That's like the least of your problems, so you don't really, you question it, but you know there's other things to talk about. You end up finding out eventually that
1 out of every 5 people has
What
an
is wrong with
increased
these
risk
men?
of heart
Can't find
attack
their
or
own
stroke.
women
How
in.
is this possible? Allow us to go back to the
end up finding out that he was molesting cousins and foster kids who were boys half his age. And you have a son with this person. So you start to lose your mind. You get gaslit by his mom until she tells you that if you don't let it go, that you guys won't be able to move forward. You guys end up breaking up. You get in a fist fight with his sister because she doesn't want to hear about all the things that her brother has done to her cousins and the foster kids, even though they're boys and girls. And they're a lot younger than him. You told his dad. And so his dad goes and talks, his dad and stepmom go and talk to their stepdaughter, the one he married, and she starts crying when she hears about everybody else. You ask her why she was crying, and then she admits to you that they've been in like an on and off relationship for like almost 10 years. And then it clicks. And you decide that your son can't be alone with somebody like this, and you ask for supervised visits. And he thinks that you're upset that he's was in a relationship with the stepsister. He doesn't understand that he needs help. And you're trying to tell him that he needs help. And he tells everybody that you're a better ex-girlfriend and you're upset that you're not with him anymore. You end up telling him that you want full custody of your son. So he lawyers up. You guys go to court. The judge makes you give your baby, and you try to tell the judge everything you know. You try to show her the texts of him admitting what he's done. Nobody listens. He goes with his dad that weekend. And a few days later, he has to go back for a 4-hour visit. When he comes back for the 4-hour visit, he won't stop crying. The next day, you take him to the ER, and you spend his first birthday in the ER, and you find out that he has a cut on his penis.
Oh.
It's been about a year and a half, and you still don't know what happened to your son. Nobody would listen to you. You guys had to pay for a private screener. And she says that your son is safe and that he can go back with his dad. So now you have to co-parent with somebody that's been molesting kids his whole life. I mean, he did stop when he was 18, but then he just started having sex with his cousin and his stepsister.
Ooh, this man is sick.
And now this is who you're co-parenting with.
I'm gonna start this video now with where we started going to court, how we got to court, and where we are now, how everything has happened. Because a lot of you guys think that I didn't go to the police. A lot of you guys are saying things that I didn't do. So I'm gonna let you guys know how I got failed from the beginning to now. Also, there are victims in this case, and I'm not gonna disclose their names. I did get an angry text from one person upset that I mentioned somebody as part of my story. Um, I'm not meaning to hurt anybody while I say my story, but people lied to me too. And I didn't know things, and it looks crazy. Like, how does she not know that? But I was lied to, and this was kept a secret from me for a long time. And for the family members, the cousin that this happened with, I never met her before until I was pregnant. Met her one time, I think twice actually. Um, no, one time. I met her one time when I was pregnant, and then after I had my baby, no, I met her twice while I was pregnant. But nobody ever introduced me to her. He didn't introduce me to her until after when my son was born. So no, these people weren't just around. Nobody told me anything weird. My mom went to school with his mom. There are family members that know each other, like because our families are from the same city, and people know each other, but no one ever told me that he was weird. No one ever, I never heard any of this stuff. And some people feel guilty for introducing me to this person when they didn't know. And if they would have known, I had two daughters. I would have never been there. He would have never been around my kids. I met him
That's why
during
you should
COVID,
get some research yourself on these
and
men. You got to do that when you
we
got
were together like
kids.
nonstop. And I I met him during COVID, and I got pregnant like a year later. I know, kind of quick. A year later. Um, but like I've said, we have mutual like our family knows each other. So I've been into parties where he's been, and nobody ever said anything like at all. And so, anyways, um, I what was I saying? I got pregnant after a year, and I found out when my son was 4 months. So this was not a one night stand or anything like that. I was around his whole family, and well, most of his family. Everybody knew me. His grandma used to watch my daughters. Um, like it, like you guys. I think you guys think that I just met this person and like had this relationship with him like one night, and then like I didn't know anything. Yeah, I didn't. I didn't know anything that he was doing like illegal, but I knew him. Um, and I want to correct myself that I went through his Apple Watch and I seen this. So there was nothing on his computer. There was nothing on his phone. It was his Apple Watch. For some reason, one day, because there was something that I was questioning, like something was making me feel weird. And so I went through his phone, and I felt like, girl, why are you going to read messages with his cousin? And thank God, this is the biggest blessing in disguise, because if I didn't know who he was, the true him, my daughters would be in danger. And I have two daughters. So if he has no limits to who he does things to or with, then how, like, you hear those stories of people and they grow up with like people doing things to their daughters or their cousins or whatever. Like, what if that happened to me? So this is the biggest blessing in disguise. Me going through his phone or Apple Watch, like I felt crazy. Like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like, why do you have to do this? But he honestly, at the time, he was tripping so hard off of me, and I didn't understand why. And this is why.
You're watching a toothbrush play Billie Eilish. But did you know that there's a YouTube Music app where you can...
I also want to add that people are upset that I did put a finger down, like I made this a trend. Would you be listening to me? Would you have heard of this and everything that I'm about to tell you if I didn't? So yeah, it's a shitty way to like say what I've been through, but nobody was listening. And honestly, if it wasn't for that video that I posted, there are family members that were around him, that had kids around him, that are barely hearing this because I've stayed quiet. I went to court. I removed all his family from my Instagram. I just didn't trust nobody. And I've been fighting this fight in silence. So It is a good thing that I did this. So I was already doing supervised visits, and I told him that I wanted full custody of my son, and he disappeared. And I didn't hear from him. And I was like, I got scared, and I was like, something's gonna freaking happen to me. Like, this guy freaking hates me now. And I was like, I'm not safe. So I went and I told the police officers everything that I knew, everything that happened to me, and everything that I knew. And I got an emergency protection order. And I didn't know that while I was doing that, he had already filed and got a lawyer, and a judge had already approved whatever he had filed. We ended up going to court. She denied my packet. And so when we got there was a bunch of people in the courtroom. And, you know, I'm just one of I don't know how many cases she sees a day. So she calls us up not knowing anything, I guess. I guess she didn't read it because I had to like tell her like, I put that in there. I put that in there. And she was like going back. And I got kind of mad because I was just like, I know I'm just somebody, but like to her, like I'm another person in the court, but like, isn't that their job to go over the cases, especially if you're in family court? Shouldn't you be? You denied my packet and you don't even know what you denied. So that was upsetting. And she was like, you know, when I started talking, because she was like, okay, like you guys just need to share a visitation, blah, blah. And I was like, no, like we need to talk about this. And she forced me to do visitation and was like, you know, I have a lot of people in my courtroom today. Like, I cannot listen to all this, like, blah, blah, blah. And I tried to show her the text messages. His lawyer was like so annoyed by me. I don't think he disclosed anything to him. So when I started talking, that guy looked mad as hell. And he was so rude. And I was like crying, and he looked at the text messages. He gave them to the judge, and she was like, you know, like there's a lot of other people here. And I'm like in my head, like, I don't care. And I'm like looking at her. So I got mad. And before I walked out, I was like, I want you in Santa Clara County to know that I'm holding you guys responsible, and that if anything happens to my son, that I am holding you guys accountable, because you're forcing me to give him after I've just disclosed all this information to you. And I had like a whole binder and like everything ready. Like I put everything together for them. It should have been freaking easy. And I started crying, and I was like hyperventilating, and I was like, my cousins were like, it's okay. And I was like, no, like they were like this is just the beginning. And so he went with him that weekend, and I set it up to where if I had work, he had him, and that was it. So I went to work, and then that was Wednesday. He needed to go with him for a 4-hour visit. And then he came back just screaming. And my daughters were like, because my son is a happy baby. He is happy. And, you know, we found out that he is autistic, and he has I don't know if he's nonverbal, because he's starting to talk like if you would consider it, but he has a very bad speech delay. And he's like he says eat and that's it, or like he doesn't call me mom. Like, anyways, that's a whole nother thing. But he is not where he should be, and he's 2 years old, almost 2.5. And anyways, so he went with him. He was just screaming. And so the next day I took him to the emergency room, and you know, we noticed that like it's really red down there. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, what the heck? Why does it look like that? Like, I know this is my first son, but I have a lot of cousins. I'm like the oldest. I babysitted. Like, I've never heard my friends talk about this stuff. Like, this happening to my friends. Like, I've never heard of this. So I'm like freaking out. And then he does the right thing. He calls CPS. He tells me, you know, like he's going to do the right things because he's not sure what's going on here. They prescribed me some fungal cream. It did not work. I had a follow-up appointment, but that day they told me, go home because CPS is going to contact you. CPS called me and told me to go home, and that they would be there soon. And that they could. So then we meet at my house, and he talks to me and my daughters, and he says, you know, I tell him like what's going on, and he says that he needs to like follow up, and that he cannot get in between any court orders. So if my son, because it's his birthday, if it's court ordered for him to see his dad, I still need to follow through with that. I'm freaking crying, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why do I have to send my baby back there? And he says, if I keep saying things that are not true, that I'm going to get in trouble. And I was like, what am I saying? All I'm saying is that my son came home like this and he's screaming and I don't know why. And he won't stop crying. I had a follow-up appointment. They gave us some cut cream. The doctor, like, she is so annoying. She was like, maybe he scraped it when he was taking off his shoe. Like, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I started flipping out. Like, afterwards, I called and I was so upset. And I told my cousin, like, I have never heard, like, she said, what if he got like so happy that he ripped his own skin? And I was like, what? Like, and she was like, maybe he messed with it in the bathtub. And I was like, you didn't even ask me if he noticed it. Like, he's barely one. And, you know, like, I saw like warnings, like signals that he was autistic, like he was showing symptoms. So I was like, dude, like, this isn't, like, I don't know, but I was just like, you don't make sense. And I told her, do the right thing. Cause she was like, well, do you want me to sit, like, call CPS? And I was like, no, because CPS said that the doctor needs to be the one to give them a call. If I'm the one that says to give them a call, that the doctor needs to say it, not me. And I was like, no. And she was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, then do the right thing and say that you don't know. Don't say whatever you're saying, just do the right thing. And I ended up leaving and I had to make another appointment with my doctor. And he gave him like cut cream. And my doctor was like, that was ridiculously. And I was like, yeah, well, that's your coworker. That's a fellow colleague doctor of yours. But I had to let him go. And I was like so upset. And then because he didn't follow some of the judge's orders, the DA put out a warrant for him. And because of that, it triggered them to investigate the DV against me. And when he ended up getting, a couple months later, he ended up getting, you know, he texted me saying like, good luck with the rent, because I had moved and from like a cheaper place to like a place like for all of us. And he was like, good luck with the rent. And him and my stepmom, his stepmom and my mom talked, and they all agreed that even though we were splitting up, that he was going to pay his portion of the rent still, and blah blah
You
blah.
should have knew that
Well,
wasn't
he
gonna
was like,
happen.
I'm good luck with the rent. And I was like, bro, like, I cannot afford that. Like, I have my car payment's really high. Like, I can't afford all this by myself. He did not care. And he was like, you need to get your own phone, because I was on the phone line with him. He was like, I'm canceling your phone line. I'm going to cancel the cable. I'm going to cancel the PG&E, like everything. And I was like, what the heck? Like, and I was like, whatever. And then a month, and that was like really stressful. And so then the next month, I picked up my son and he had the burn on his face, and he also came home sick, like throwing up, diarrheaing. Like, it was so bad. Like, it was the most horrible thing. We all got sick, and we all lost weight. He lost weight. So when I filed for emergency custody, because I was like, oh heck nah, like, you're not telling me why my baby looks like he has a cigarette burn on his face. Like, we're not doing that. And
Yep, sound
I
like he was not a good
filed,
father.
and when it was his day and I wouldn't give my son to him, he called the cops on me. And so the cops met me at Starbucks, and they wanted to see my son, and I showed them how sick he was. Like, he was just sleeping. He looked so lethargic. Like, it was so sad. And I showed them the burn. I was like, I'm filing for emergency custody. It was like 4th of July. So I was like, it's the holidays. So like next week I'm going, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, okay. And they let me go. They didn't make me give him. And he was so mad. And then I filed and I got approved. Like, I got emergency custody. So when we showed up to court, his lawyers, I don't know if it was that time, but the judge, like, oh yeah. So the lawyers like try to send some video over from March earlier that year. So it's July and they're trying to show him something from March. Back up for a second, because when I went to the court the first time, I told her, I was like, well, he makes these weird comments about my son. And I was like,
when I was pregnant, he said that he wanted to do circumcision because he would last longer. And I was like, he didn't give me a medical reason. He gave me some sick reasons. So I was like, no, like, and we fought about it so many times. Like, it was ridiculous because I was like, stop talking about my son like that. And if you're not going to give me a medical reason, like, I'm not going to do it. And I was like, who the heck talks about their kid like that? Like, I have daughters and I do not think about that. And I was like so grossed out, like, ugh. And then when Sammy was like 2 weeks, I was breastfeeding, or like not 2 weeks, he was younger than that because I wasn't producing enough milk. And when we were feeding him through a syringe, like, I was so exhausted and I was the one pumping and stuff. So I let him feed Sam. And he made a comment like, oh, like that Sammy's a good sucker. And I was like, huh? Like, I remember walking to the kitchen and he's talking and I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, like he's gonna make a girl really proud one day, and was laughing. And I was like, don't talk
Wow,
about
about his
my
own
effing son like
child.
that.
That's
Like,
crazy.
that's disgusting. And he was like, or a man, whatever his
Nasty.
preference is. And I was like, what did you just say? And I was like, stop talking like that, you're so gross. And I was like, ew. I can't remember where I left off, but
Wow, a father said that about
I was
his
like, stop talking about like
children.
my son like that.
Wow.
So in court that first day, I told her what he was saying, and she was like, about the like circumcision and stuff, and her response was like, a lot of men say that it could be a religious thing. And I was like, yeah, but like, look at the text messages that I'm showing you, and then I'm telling you what he's saying about his son. Like, what the heck? So that really upset me too. Like, she just was not trying to hear it, and everybody in the courtroom was like, because there was just random people there, like for their stuff, and they're like, and I was like, yeah, it was just horrible. But
Sound like she wasn't a good
what did I
judge.
leave off in the other video? So the cop let me go, and I ended up getting emergency custody of my son. And
Yes, Miss J. She said when
back
she picked the
in
baby up,
March,
the baby had a
I
cigarette
was
burnt on
like
his face.
panicking because he took my son. I was like not in the right state of mind, and he took my
It
son to
sounds
his
like the
mom's
judge
house,
was
and
on
they
the
wouldn't give
father's
my son
side.
back. And that was the day
Ever
that
since the time she
the
go to court.
situation happened with his sister. And that was her second time trying to have an altercation with me. So this second time, I was like, if you're gonna defend him being a weirdo, like, let's go. And anyways, so they showed her, even though they had already put it in the packet, they were trying to show her that so that it'd be like, oh well, look what she did. So I had to tell the judge, like, no, we are here because of these new things that happened to my son. So until there's an investigation on this, can we keep like supervised visits? We kept supervised visits. She ended up saying, like, we're going to do supervised visits. And he had to pay through them through an agency. And we started doing that. And that was like the end of July, maybe August. And then she recommended that we pay for an emergency screener. She did not want to waive the fee, so it was a total of $5,000. So he would pay 25
Wow.
and I was paid 25. They were upset and they wanted her to waive it, and I was like, I'm ready. Like, I'll pay that if I have to. And I was already broke and struggling, but I was like, like anything for my son. And I was like, so they had her look it up for me and they were going to send me a list, and I was like, I'm not comfortable, can I find my own? And she was like, these are licensed professionals, like there's no reason to not trust his lawyers, like nobody's going to jeopardize their career for anything. As we know, like, that's not true. So I didn't trust them, right? And she told me that, and I was like, whatever, like, I'm not gonna look like make myself seem complicated. So I was like, okay, they can send me a list. So I had a certain time frame to go through that list. I contacted other people, and it was just so expensive. So I went with the cheapest one that I can find and the person that was the most available. And it was the biggest mistake that I could have ever made in choosing her, because she's the one that dictated
She didn't say
the
what kind of
rest of
screening.
how
I don't
this
know.
ends, or currently like where I'm at right now with the whole situation.
I ended up picking her, and I want to expose her so bad because I think she's such a freaking fraud, but I don't know if I can get in trouble for that, so I'm going to hold off until I know for sure. But um I sent her over everything. They sent her over their evidence, and in March, what they were using against me, they were saying that what I know that they were saying, because I just found something else out. So, like the other day. So, at the time, they were trying to make it seem like I was upset that we were no longer together, and that I was being this way because he didn't want to be with me anymore. And that's like not even the problem, or the truth. And so anyways,
Yeah.
she didn't read any of my text messages. She tried to say because 2 of the emails were small and I sent her, like, I don't want to just give a number, but there was at least over 10 emails with the max capacity of as many attachments can be, and each one was labeled. And in there, when I say you did this to so and so at this age, and you were this age, and then this and this and this and that, like I listed what I knew, he said none of that has to do with my son. And I was like, yes, it does. It has everything to do with you being alone with your son. And she just, I guess, never read it. I don't really know, because she basically in her report, she just says that like we're both complicated and we did things. So back in March like of 2023, they wouldn't give me my son, and I panicked and I rammed my car into his car. I went there, they knew I was on my way. I knocked on the door, they wouldn't open the door. They tried to say I kicked, but I knocked on the door. They didn't open the door. And I was like, you MFers are the last people that should be alone with my kid. Like, I don't trust you. I don't trust your mom. And I was like, if something happens to my son in his care with like at that house, I didn't think that his mom, based off of everything that was happening, I didn't think that she would tell me. I think that she would cover, and she would take it to her grave. Like, I don't even think she would let the stepmom know, but if they all knew as a collective, they would all lie, because at the time she was gonna leave she was gonna leave the stepmom, and she used me as a cover, mounting my TV to go and look at houses. So, and that lady does not want her to leave. So I just know that they'll cover, because there's other things that have happened and they cover. So if this is what his mom is feeling and this is what she's saying, they're going to take it to their grave. They're never going to tell me if my son gets hurt. They're not going to tell nobody. They're going to keep it to themselves and act like it's not happening, because this is what they're doing now. So I know that that's what would happen to my son. So I was like, they gave her that and showed her that evidence, and they gave her another video of me supposedly being like aggressive, and in the video you clearly see that I'm the victim. Like, his family, his sister, the one I had the altercation with, comes running out and asks her not to HIT me, and they're like, and then he gets in my car and they're like telling him to get out of my car, and then you hear me say like what he's doing, and then his sister gets upset and tries to fight me, and his mom was like, you don't know how to keep your mouth shut. And I'm on one side of the car, and on the other side of the car he's telling her to mind her own business, like what the hell is she doing, to go inside. And then she gets upset and was like, she says his name and she's like, I was just trying to defend you. So when I listened to that video, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this whole time I thought maybe she didn't know everything, but to hear like, because there were so many things going on at once, like you're defending him and then you're trying to tell people now like, oh, it's because she hit the baby hit my brother's car with the baby inside. Girl, the whole reason why his car got hit is because he wouldn't give me the baby. So in hindsight, well, all this is going on and we're hiring Brenda, he goes and calls the cops and files a report that I did this. So he reported something 5 months later, and the next month, that's in August, and then I get an arrest warrant in September, and I had no knowledge that all of this was going on in the background. I'm just going through an emergency screener right now. So then I filed for child support, and We go to that, and he
Ooh,
says
he
that he's
sounded
not
a
sure
better
what he's
baby
gonna say,
daddy than me.
even though he already waived at the beginning of court, like family court, that this was his son. Like he knew it was his son. He was there when the birth certificate was signed. So his lawyers are trying to do all this on me, and I'm telling her like, he stopped paying the rent, like so his rent portion of the rent is not being paid. I'm not getting any help. He's not giving any money because he's not seeing his son. I'm paying for everything by myself. I have two other kids. I have a car payment. Like I'm commuting, and I was like, like all this stuff. And she like gets annoyed with him because he signed my birth certificate and he did sign that waiver. And then so she's like, okay, you need to do a paternity test. And I got upset, and I was like, I started crying, and I was like, what the heck? Like this guy that is fighting me, making my life a nightmare. Now he's saying that he's not the father. Like, what the heck? The cheater.
Wow.
And so then and he started crying, and I was like, why are you crying? Like you're the one saying this. So then we go to regular family court, and then I tell her what he's saying, and then she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay. So she was like, and I was like, now I'm worried about my son's safety, because are these things happening to my son because he doesn't think that this is his son? And so she was like, okay, like you are going to give up your custody of your son. You're saying that this isn't your son, so you can't see him. And he gets upset. And then she's like, I need you to understand. And then the lawyer was like trying to talk, and she was like trying to talk to him and was like, I need you to understand what you're about to do. And he was upset, and he agreed, and he gave me custody. And I was so mad. I was like, the ghetto. I gotta go freaking get swabbed. It still bothers me. I'm like, it's so ghetto. I know who my kids' dad. I'm not a cheater. So I'm like, whatever. I do everything that I'm supposed to. It comes back that he's 99.9% the dad. No figure. And
Right.
I didn't really like believe in God. Like I've had like this bad struggle where I'm like, is he real? Like if he's real, why am I going through everything that I've gone through in my life? And but I was struggling, and I would pray like every day before court, like please help me, help the judge see the truth, and help me be able to articulate and
Wow.
help me so that I can get through these. And his lawyers were really irritated with me because they would try to do stuff and it was like backfiring on them. But then it came time to, and now we're in October, and so he didn't see his son for like a month and a half maybe. And it comes time, and they're like, I got the report, and I started crying. And her name's Brenda. I got Brenda's report, and she said that he was a victim and that he's getting help, and that she doesn't see any threat, so that Samuel should go with him these days and these days and these days and whatever. And so I'm upset, and I start questioning her. She says that there's no criminal charges pending on myself and on him, which turns out to be not true, right? We just said that I have that. So his people went into court and lied, because then nobody knows that I have a warrant. Even though we're in that county, they didn't know. So I'm showing up to court every week, and they don't even know that I have a warrant now. And they this is to show you guys how messed up and how I've fallen through every crack. That I was in there every week, and they didn't know. And his lawyers played it. They knew because they told him to do this. He's paying all this money. Like he has to know, you know they have to know what he's doing because they're having him do it. So, they're advising him what to do or whatever. So I start questioning her like yes, there is criminal charges pending. And then the judge, and I started telling her like, did you question him about this? She says no, no. And then I was like, did you what happened? But she didn't wait for the doctors, like the CPS report and the doctors. She didn't get none of the reports. So that was her job. That's what we hired her to do, was to get the CPS reports and to get the doctor's reports
Brenda need to be fired.
Yeah, it sounded like she wasn't doing her job.
Paying $14.99
It sounded like
for a streaming app
this lady
and
was not doing her
$9.99 a month
job
for
at
a
all.
music
Like
app
she really
and $12.99
sounds
for a
like she
fitness
was
app.
failing this girl, and that is so sad.
Forward over some of the documents that I had because I have Kaiser, so I was able to relay the information like from my internet. But she didn't talk to anybody, and I was so upset. Like we paid 5,000, and like for me, I paid 2,500, and you didn't do nothing. You're here. You're not supposed to be on my side. You're not supposed to be on the dad's side. You're supposed to be on my son's side, and you just failed him. You didn't do any of the things. I was so upset. And then we
Wow.
go to court the next day, and the judge asks her, "Are these things that the mother spoke about is true?" She just keeps saying that he's a victim. That's it. And she was like, the judge got annoyed and was like, "Are the allegations that mother spoke of, are they true?" And she's like, "Yes." But she didn't put it in her report. But she said this to the judge, and the judge was like, and she's like, "But I don't, dad's getting help, and he understands the severity of, his
Oh my
health, and
God!
he
Wow.
lives with his
PJ, I'm
mom
with
and
you.
stepmom, and they're gonna ensure
What in
his
the
son's safety
world?
and that he does the right thing. So I don't think there's like any immediate danger. Like there's no reason for him not to be with his dad."
People out here
What?
enabling this shit.
I start crying. And I'm like, "Are you serious? She got so many things wrong. She just said it's true." And then the judge was like,
Exactly.
and
And
I
she
was
gonna
like,
still say,
"This
"Let me
is
see
it."
that
And the judge was like,
baby."
"Well, she did her job. Like that's what we hired her to do." And I was like, "And she didn't do her job." So then I'm like low key arguing with the judge, but like, trying to like watch what I say, but I'm emotional because I'm like, "Are you kidding me? He just admitted it. Like they just admitted it. And this is what I've been coming for. You've been telling me, oh, they're just allegations, but he just admitted it." Then she says like, "Well, you didn't submit the messages to me." And I was like, "You told me to submit them to the screener. I submitted all of them like I was supposed to. I didn't know I had to show them to you as well." And I was like, "I'm working with Nextdoor Solutions." And I was like, "They are helping me gather it, and they're going to help me submit it," because I wasn't by myself completely. I was working with an agency, like a DV agency, and I had an advocate that was helping me. And she was like, "Well, I didn't read them, so I don't know." And she was like, "I'm going to allow your son to go back." My son did not know those people. So when he started to go back, first of all, I started crying. Then when it was time for him to go back, my son was having meltdowns because we had to have somebody else like do the drop off and the pickups. We could be there, but somebody needs to do the physical exchange. But he was so small that like he can't walk.
I
Like
don't know. I
just
wish
he's not a
Denise
normal
was in the
kid.
chat. She could
He
probably
was
say what it's
flipping out. He did not
for.
want to go with them.
Because
It
I'm
was
not
so
sure what the
traumatizing
screaming
for
was
me and for
about.
him. He would freak out. It was so sad. It was very alarming. Like I was like, how could the court system just do this? Like how can they just, my son hasn't been there in months. He doesn't know those people because he's so little.
But it
And
definitely
now he's
sounds
just
like this
going over
child was
there like
failed by the court
reckless.
system. It definitely sounds like
And
that.
then the supervised visits lady calls me and she's like, the visits stopped because he wanted like a refund. And I was like, yeah, he's saying that he wasn't the dad. And she was like, yeah, like I've never heard of somebody fighting for custody and then turn around and saying that they're not the dad. Like, and I guess he didn't get his refund. I don't know. But it's just so many things that are like, what the heck? And so then the worser things were getting for me, the more like I started to break down. And like I started like, I was just so stressed out. And I was like, not at this time, even though he was the father, it took so long. That was in August that I filed. I didn't get any money till the end of December. And they were like, "Oh, like it's okay, you're gonna get back pay." And I was like, my son needs diapers today. I need help with my kids today. Like my daughter's dad, like I'm thankful for him. He gets on my nerves too. Like that's why we're not together. But like he helped a lot and he helped more than he should have because Sam's not his kid. But he helped make sure that I was okay and that the girls were okay, even because I'm their mom. As you should, like as a man. So I was like struggling mentally. I was not doing good. I got like super depressed and I almost got fired from my job and I did not care. And my manager was so mean to me. Like my manager hated me and I was going through so much. I was like, I don't care. Like I don't want to work for this guy. And then people had it like other managers were like
No, he
no,
was the
like
father,
keep
Latae. He
fighting,
was the
like don't give
father.
up, like this is how you provide for your kids. Like I got to a dark place and the darker it got, the more I kept sinking and I didn't think like I could sink anymore. I kind of started leaning more towards God and asking for more help and to help me see him and hear him. So I realized that I missed some steps or
And
some
yeah, and
information.
Miss J is
So
right. If his name was on that birth certificate,
the burn on his
they
face
would
does
definitely,
explain that.
in
So
some
what they
states,
told
they would still
CPS
make you pay
and what CPS
child
told me at
support and
least,
say
because
that,
like sometimes words get
of that
messed up along
child.
the way, is that they went to the beach
Especially if you've been
and
taking care of that
that
child for over a certain period of
apparently he
years
got burned from like an ash,
and you never had no
and they didn't
concerns
really
until
know because he
now.
didn't really make a big deal. They didn't notice until the next day. Excuse me, but what little baby doesn't cry from a burn? Because listen, girls, this is where we come in. How many times have we
Because
put
they'll do
ourselves
that
in the
here.
curler right here or right here, and it's a
If
flat
you
burn?
catch it early,
This was
it's
a
cool.
welt.
If you don't,
Like, I have something here, and I don't know, like I fell on rocks when I was a little kid, but it's like elevated, and I mean, it's a scar now, but it's elevated. My son had it elevated, like it had like pus or whatever on top. And so if it was a burn, first of all, what is he doing that close to the fire? And why does he have just one aquí? Why isn't there more? So, and his mom and whoever else vouched that that's what happened. And I'm sure, because they be lying. I don't even know anymore because they be hiding everything. So that's what happened with that. That's what they told CPS. And that's what Brenda took their word for. So when she questioned them, since she didn't get no reports from CPS or speak to a doctor. But when I did take him to that doctor was mad at CPS, and she lit them a new one because I went to this clinic in San Jose for like victims, and they work with kids and like they give them like a full body like thing, make sure everything's okay. And they evaluated him, and that's when I can't even talk about that because she talked about what happened to Sam's cut, and she yelled at CPS and was like, yeah, I don't want to cry right now, so I'm not gonna talk about that. Like, but basically,
oh yeah, Miss
that
J,
doctor
some
was
states will
upset
do
at
that. They
CPS, and
definitely
she was like,
will.
why didn't they come sooner?
Yep.
And then I
They
didn't go there
definitely
until
will.
almost 2 weeks later after Sam's cut. So she was like, how am I supposed to value a cut that's 2 weeks
That's
old?
crazy though, for
CPS, get it
real.
together. So right before that, I had a lawyer.
Yes, he
And
was
I hired her.
suave.
I thought she was all for me. I was like, yes, I
And he
have this
was the
woman. She's gonna
father.
fight for me like women power. Like, yes. Not the case. She went to court and didn't file my paperwork, and I didn't know that she didn't file my paperwork. Okay, but she came back and was like, oh, like I think you should just settle. Like they have this video, like they have all these witnesses, his family that lies for him, and like
The family that
maybe you
lied
should
for
just really
him.
think about settling. And then I was like, no, I don't want to settle. I know what I did and I didn't do, and I'm not crazy. Like they are so wrong for all of this. And she was like, well, and those comments that he made, like he was just trying to be funny. Those comments are not funny, okay, lady? We fought 3 separate times for hella long. He was so fucking mad at me because I made a medical decision without him. Bro, I told him I'm not doing it. You didn't give me a medical reason as to why I should do it. You're giving me some weird ass reasons. I'm not doing it. And then I watched this documentary that said that really only people in the United States do this. And I didn't even watch that documentary when I was pregnant. My sister was pregnant. She watched it and then she told me about it. So then I watched it. So it was like, I was already like, oh, when I have a son, I'm not going to do it. Like, who even cares about that? And so he was like so mad and saying all these ridiculous things. Like, girls are going to laugh at him. And I was like, I don't care. Fuck them girls. Like, girls are the devil. Like Baba Boucher's mom says, like, no. And he couldn't provide a good reason. And then the whole like, Sam's a good sucker, like he's gonna make a girl or a guy really proud one day, like that's not funny. And we ended up in arguments, so that's not him trying to make me laugh. Like that lady was so stupid. If she's watching this, like you really failed me, okay? And so I had to get her off in order to file all this stuff, to get like emergency custody and all that. And then so back to him getting him back after Brenda decided that it was cool even though she didn't do her job. She said it was like my birthday weekend, like right before, and November, and he came home with like lumps and bruises all over his head and like something in his ear. And I asked his dad what happened, and he said that he fell running. And
I
At
don't
that time, my
understand
son
why
was like
every
running,
time
like
his
my son was
child went to
barely
the
learning
dad
how to
house, he
walk,
came back bruised
and
up.
like
And the courts didn't see a problem with that.
if
I
I
don't
look at the videos
understand
at that
it.
time, like there was no way my baby was running. And and why does he have a cut inside his ear? Like that's the weirdest place to have like scrapes and scratches. And then like there was like a lump like this
It
big.
just sounded like it was some
And
abuse there
so I told his advocate, because Brenda did do
and some
something good
neglect.
and she got him an advocate, but then the advocate couldn't even meet him when she was supposed to because Sammy got piojos. Okay, there's nobody that even goes to like elementary school, because normally elementary kids get stuff like that. There's nobody in elementary. Sammy has one little cousin that 6 months older than him, and she's only 6 months older. So if he's 2, she's like about to be 3, right? So who the f gave them piojos in that grown house? They all got piojos. And so Sammy got piojos, so she couldn't meet him because he was infected. He was getting treatment. And I told her about the bumps and the bruises. And I told her, if, because there was days split up, I was like, can we make them consecutive to where it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturdays? And then she was like, no, because if Sammy was getting hurt, that she didn't want him to go to consecutive days, because she wanted a break in between, so that if he got hurt, that I would know, since Samuel's dad, oh my God, I almost said his name, since Samuel's dad
Yes,
wasn't
Lil Tay, that's what she
reporting
should
it
have
to
been
me.
doing.
So as of now,
That
in
was
her
a great
report,
idea. Being that,
it's
he started
ordered
going
that
over
he
there,
tells
coming
me when
home
he
like
gets
that,
hurt, because the things that have
before
happened
and
are
after
so
pictures.
off that he doesn't
Absolutely. I
tell me.
definitely agree.
And I just think that he doesn't tell me
And
because he
didn't tell the
doesn't think that
father
he
anything.
respects me as Sam's mom, as a woman. I don't think that he thinks that he feels like he needs to tell me anything, which is crazy.
Exactly
And
again.
part of
Straight
the
to
reason
the
why
ER
I
in the
think
police
is he didn't
station.
have a good mother
Hey,
figure in
Barry
his
Boost,
life.
what's
Like,
going on?
he came from a broken family. And his mother was on drugs his whole life. She's only been clean for 5 years. So I feel like
I mean,
he
because every
definitely
time he go to
played
his
out
dad
on
house,
all of
he
his
come back with
relationships. And
marks
that's
and
the biggest
bruises.
red flag,
CPS is
is that
failing
a
her. The
man
judge is failing
disrespects his
her.
mother
The lawyer
openly
didn't do a
in
good
front of you,
job.
out in public, in front of
Wow.
other people, and
That's
their
crazy.
fathers. Like, if they do it like so in such a harsh way, because not everybody gets along, but where it's like uncomfortably, that's a red
That
flag.
is crazy.
Run, okay? Because I should have ran. So yeah, so we go to court, and that morning I sent the judge to all the info, because we were just supposed to be like, oh, like we have a advocate for Sammy, like this is her, we're just supposed to do an introduction. Well, it just so happened, I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell the judge what just happened. I sent her pictures, CC'd his lawyer in it, and I sent the pictures, and I was like, I want to modify time, so I didn't want him to even go with him that many days anymore. Well, his advocate didn't show up, and it was a lady right before, like a minute before court. His lawyer, or they told me that
Yeah, that would have
she
been
wasn't
good
going to
too.
be there.
Video.
So when I
Yeah.
tried to introduce this to the judge, she was like, no. And I was like, I just sent you the pictures. Then she looks at the pictures and she's like, oh yeah, I see these scratches. And I was like, ma'am, those are not scratches, those are bruises. This judge and his lawyer probably were like, this girl is not giving up, because I was like, why are you calling them scratches when they're bruises? They're clearly
I want to know
bruises.
what is wrong
Ma'am,
with
you're
this
looking
judge.
right
What
at
was
them with
wrong with
no
her?
disrespect. And she was like, I'm not changing the visitation. Like, this is what it's staying. And I got that. That was the day that I got, I
What
think that
town
was the day
she
that I got
from?
kicked out of the courtroom. I was
Hey,
so mad. I left in tears.
Crystal.
And I was like, how can you make my son go back there? And I was like, and she was like, we did a custody order with Brenda, and this is what Brenda said, and this is what I'm gonna do. And this is why I settled, because me and her got into it, and she was telling me like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I was like, okay, but how many things did Brenda get wrong in her report? And I was like, and the allegations that I've said are true, and you're still making him going back. He keeps getting hurt. How many times are you gonna allow my son to get hurt in
That's
your
true too,
courtroom?
Miss
Because
J.
this is the third time that my son is getting hurt in your courtroom, and it hasn't even been a year. How much more are you gonna allow? And she was like, and she was trying to talk to me, and I kept talking over her. She's
Yes.
like, if you're not, it
Yes,
doesn't
let's
sound like you
say.
want to hear me. So you know
That's
what?
what it
Step out of
sounds
the
like to me
courtroom and you
too.
wait out there for your paperwork.
Something
And I
ain't
was
right.
like, fine. And I like grabbed all my stuff and I was slamming it like a child. Like, I'm surprised she didn't like yell at me and like, how judges usually can be, because I was so mad. And the advocate, like, where were you? And that lady had no idea what I was talking about. And so they were like, she was like, I really can't say because I haven't reviewed the case. Like, thanks, Santa Clara. Thanks. Because then it was like 2 weeks later, and he texted me that Sammy got hurt and there was like a scratch running down his face. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like the weirdest injuries, like a scratch down his face. Why? And my baby doesn't get hurt with me. I mean, like now he does. He's like in terrible twos and he does crazy things. But at that time, I was like, I don't understand why my son's getting. So then he got hurt again. He got hurt again, and I like that was the day I almost got fired. Well, I got almost got suspended, which probably would have got me fired. I like had to leave work. I showed up hella late anyway, and then I was like crying and like I left, and it was just like a mess. And I was just like, dude, like, why does this keep happening to my son? Like, and I was like asking God, like, why is this happening to me? And I feel like looking back, this is the
I don't
biggest
know the race of
testimony
the
now
dad. She
because
look like she's Hispanic. Maybe he
I
is too.
literally was going
And
through the most horrendous thing,
she
and
didn't
it
say
was
the
not
status of the
ending,
income of the
and
father.
I was not
She
looking
just said he
any
was put
guidance.
on child
And
support.
then Christmas comes around, and like, you know, I'm trying to be there for my daughters. I was drinking a lot. Like I worked at a casino, so I was just like drink a lot at the casino. And January came around, and we ended up settling. Oh, so then in December we did go back because he had the criminal case, but then in November, he pleaded no contest so we could move forward with the family case. And then that's when his lawyer did mention that I had criminal charges. And I was like, no, I don't. Like, why are you saying that? And I was like, that's not true. And she was like, oh, I thought there was criminal charges. So that was like a big flag for me. Like they did know, and they like acted like they didn't. And they still proceeded with our, like they set the date for trial. But anytime you have trial, you have like a pre where you settle, like if anybody wants to settle. And at this point, I just didn't see, like, so many things had happened. The advocate, like I would tell her things, like she wouldn't respond. Like I was just like, dude, like there's nothing. They're not like. I put all my cards out on the table. I told them everything about his marriage, everything that I knew, and they were still making my son go over there. So I just felt so defeated, and
Oh,
you
so
know,
the
I've been
father
coming
got
there. We
married?
go every 2 weeks. Sometimes it's like every week, and then sometimes it's like every other
Okay,
week. It
Berry
just
Boots,
depends
be
on
safe.
what's going on. Since things calm down, it's every other week or like once every 3 weeks. It just depends. But
Yeah, it does sound like
shout
she
out
had
to
no
her.
family support.
But
It really does.
I was like, you know,
And that's the
I'm just
worst.
gonna settle. Like I didn't see this changing. Like I didn't see anything happening, and I was like, you know, hopefully. I thought his family was like understanding. Like I was kind of being dumb, and I know people are gonna backlash, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna settle, and you know, hope for the best and pray to God like something doesn't happen to my son, because that's what they're saying. So I really didn't know what I was gonna do. I was like confused, like fight, fight, fight. But then I was like, dude, I've done everything. Like, what the heck? And I ended up settling. And the lady, when we settled, she was like, you know, and I was talking to her. She was like, well, yeah, you know, I was reviewing your case and like reviewing some of your case, and the law is reactive, not proactive. So if nothing's happened to your son, like there's really nothing we can do. And I was like, it's such the biggest slap in the face. Like, you guys, like, if I had text messages of somebody selling substance, you guys would go and do something about it. But because it's about this, like, they need victims to cooperate, cooperate, cooperate with them, or else it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say, even though I have texts and he tells me what he's done in detail. It does not matter.
This
It's
lady
very
was being
upsetting.
failed all around the
But
board.
I was like, okay, so we settled, and basically, like any free time that I have, I'm with my kids. Like, that's it. I go to work, and that's it. Like, I feel really guilty if I want to go somewhere, and he has to go with his dad. It feels really guilty. I feel really guilty. And I just set it up to where I'm at work, so I don't feel guilty. But March, so we didn't settle, and like right when I settled, I had this gut feeling like I thought I was crazy, and I was like, I shouldn't have settled. Like something's not right. Something's not right. Wow, one day we were having a conflict with like picking up and dropping off. His family didn't want to meet me, but it was my scheduled time, so I called the popo, and the popo ended up coming for me. And I was so confused. I was like, what do you mean I'm getting arrested? And it was like, I felt so disappointed in myself because I was supposed to be picking up my daughters. And I was like, dude, my daughters have missed out on me. I'm not going to cry. I've been fighting for my son so hard.
That's so sad. That's sad.
The mom that they need to.
That's
But
sad.
I haven't been the mom that they need to. And I was like, God, like, I'm here for a reason. But on the way there, I was like, I can't go in there crying. Like, I need to man up. Like, they can't see me, like, crying. And I, like, didn't let my family bail me out. I was like, let's see if the judge lets me out on OR. And I was like, God, like, I worked so hard for my money too. I was like, I don't want to pay for this bail when I know I'm going to get out. Like, I just knew. I was like,
Hey,
there's
Miss
no way I'm
Crawford.
going to stay here. And I didn't even know what I was there for. And I was like, God, like, I know what I did was wrong. And if I'm supposed to be here, like, even if it's for a little bit, like, I'll accept that. And I was like, but if it's not, like, please let me go home to my kids. And the judge let me out on a wire. I was so happy. I wanted in and out so bad, and I didn't get in and out. But I understood why he stopped paying my rent because, when you have to, like, go in there, what they make you do, I was so mad. And I was like, this is why he probably is so mean to me now because I freaking had to go through this. Like, he's probably so freaking pissed like I was. Like, I wanted nothing to do with him after that. I was like, who's going to do the drop-off and pickups? Because I don't want to see that guy. So I get it. But I was like, like, I understood that I did something wrong. And the girls in there were like, I don't know why I'm here. And I'm like, girl, we're on the domestic violence floor. Like, we're going to that courtroom for DV, all of us. Like, we're here because we don't know how to control our emotions. And that person that texted me the other day trying to go off on me is so lucky that I'm a woman of God. And that's how I know I've changed, because I did not want to fight her. Because last time she talked to me dumb, I was like, where you at? Like, I'll pull up right now. This time I was just like, girl, don't talk to me like that. And then I blocked her. And I was like, I'm done. Because I'm learning to control my anger, and this is my story, and I'm not going to let people make me feel bad for it. Like, I experienced this. People have been making me be quiet for a long time, and the only person that's paying for it is me and my son. We're the ones that are paying for it. And I just like prayed, and then I didn't get a lawyer. My public defenders were like so amazing, and they were like fighting for the right thing. But that month, I got let go of my job. My manager like had it out for me. Like, I was like a ticking time bomb. I'm surprised I lasted that long. And if you see this, you're a freaking jerk. I was going through the most horriblest time in my life, and I don't think he believed me. Like, he gave me such a hard time. It's like illegal, some of the things that he did. Like, wanting to look at my restraining order paperwork just so that I was able to switch my time is ridiculous. But somebody got to switch their time because they were starting baseball. That's ridiculous. I ended up losing that job, but I had another job. I had just started another job. So then I just like went full time there. And honestly, it's been the best thing. I'm able to be a mom to my daughters. I have my son and my daughters all the time. So it's just a lot easier, like not working nights anymore. So that is like a blessing in disguise. But like, all those bills that he left me with, even though I had back pay, like it caught up. Like commuting, having a big car, having a car payment, insurance, like I could not afford everything by myself with what he left me to deal with. And so then
started losing my hair. But that month what actually started, I didn't realize that my hair was falling out until like a month later. Um, I was like, oh yeah, no, like my hair's been hella falling out. But my hair was falling out like dramatically, like in clumps. Like I remember thinking like, what is going on? Like, or I'd be like, didn't I just like clean out my brush? Like, why is it full again? Or I'd
Thank
be
you,
like,
Brittany.
how long ago did I wash my hair? Like, why is so much hair coming out? Like, I wasn't really paying attention until I noticed a really, really big bald spot on the back of my head. And it was so big that it scares my kids. Like, when they see it, they're like, oh, mommy. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, what if I get to wear wigs? Like, I just tell them that would be so cool to wear wigs all the time. Like, I could have different hair all the time. And they think I'm crazy.
Join the giveaway.
You know, because they're girls. So they're like, your hair. And I'm like, it's okay. It's just hair. Like, they're like my mom. I really think that they think I'm like, they're like, what the heck? Because I'm like, it's fine. Or like my eyebrows. I started losing my eyebrow hair as well. And they were like, mom, your eyebrows. So I just shaved them. And they were like, what did you do? So I don't know. They're just like, what the heck is going on with my mom? But I lost my car that month. So literally in 1 week, I got arrested, lost my job. And the next month, like not even 3 weeks later, I lost my car. Maybe like a month. I lost my car.
Wow, she went through a
And
lot.
my rent was
Wow, I
going
feel
up.
so bad for her.
So I had moved from Union City to San Jose, and my apartment was super affordable because I got it a long time ago. And this apartment that I got was really, really nice, and it was not affordable by myself. And so I had to pick, and I'm very thankful for where I'm at now. It's
Yeah,
really nice. It's brand new,
that's true,
and
Denise.
it's income based to help people like me in situations. Um, I got a little beater car.
Sound like she been through a
Started going to
lot.
court,
She was failed by the
and
system.
last week,
Oh wow.
or the week before, on September 3rd, the DA answered my prayers. God answered my prayers, and they dropped my case because I had been going back and going back and going back, and we kept extending it. And
God bless her.
and it was weighing heavy on me because I did something wrong. Like at the end of the day, regardless if you guys understand or were the point that I'm trying to make, I did something illegal, like ramming in somebody's car. But like I didn't just do it because he didn't throw out the trash or he wanted to hang out with his friends or because he was liking girls' pictures on Instagram. That was not the case. I was literally freaking out because I was like, even though I wasn't in the right headspace, I wanted my baby to go with my mom. Like I was like, my son should not be with you guys. And I was like, please, like, God, you know my heart. And I couldn't get up there and be like, oh, well, like, he cheated on me. Like, he was married. Because unfortunately, like, that shit is so common. So I had to be honest with myself. And I was like, God, like, hear my heart, like, open their ears. Like, please do the right thing. And they did. They did. And I also want to point out that we were able to move forward with the family court case when I had criminal charges pending and his lawyers knew. And that's against my rights. I hadn't looked into it to like know what law they broke, but I'm pretty sure it's illegal what they did because whatever happened in civil court could have been used against me in family court. It's not like he cooperated with the investigation with the criminal court. And so it's whatever. Like, no, it's not whatever because that was ridiculous. Um, Everything that he put me through was ridiculous. And I remember them telling me, like, we are not going to let this go. Like, they really wanted to give me what they were going to give me. And I broke down and started just crying and crying. And, like, I gave my situation to God. And it just felt so much peaceful to not be carrying it and to let it go. And look at what God has done for me. And I don't 100% know if me getting on here the way that I have and saying what's going on is approved. Like if I didn't ask God
to show me what I should do. I've always said since the beginning that I was never going to be quiet. When I told him a long time ago, if you fight me on this, I will tell everybody what I know about you. Just give me my son. And somebody told me that that was almost selfish of me, that there were so many victims. And like, I didn't even think of that. Like, there's so many victims in this story, young. There's some people that can't even talk about what he did
Wow.
to them.
Wow.
And my heart hurts for them.
They're
But
scared. They're scared to tell that story.
giving God this situation helped me tremendously. And I can't even explain how I feel. Like, reading the messages, like, this still doesn't feel sometimes like it's happening to me. Like, there's no way that everything I've been in life, and then I'm going through this. But on the other hand, I'm like, I'm so different now for the better. Like, I fell in love with someone that was a monster. But like, I've learned boundaries, and I'm like,
there you go. That's the most important
becoming a
thing. That's
better
what I always
mom.
say.
Like,
I never break my
because I'm
boundaries.
becoming a better person. And when you become a better person, obviously you're going to become a better mom. And I was already working on myself, and this is like a whole nother level. And you know, all the victims out there, like, I hope that you guys find your voice. I hope any victim out there finds their voice. And I hope that laws change to protect kids, because the judge telling me, like, the law is reactive, not proactive. Like, there needs to be guidelines for people like this that end up having kids, and like their kids are just forced back in their care, and their response is like, oh well, that's their kid, like they shouldn't do that. But yeah, wouldn't you think that about their cousin? Wouldn't you think that about their stepsister? Like, wouldn't you think that about, like, and it's not even like it's one gender, like I like, we couldn't even be like, oh well, he does this to girls. Like, no, he does this to boys too. And like, I thought he was a lot younger than what, because that's what he told me. But since I've talked to family members, like, this man was in high school doing this stuff. Like, I thought.
Wow, my heart goes out to her. Wow, that's
Doing
sad.
this to kids, but he's not. He wasn't. And people, you know, are denying what he did. Like, his family members that choose to have him still in their life and protect him are belittling what he did, and it's sick. There just needs to be something done. And you know, I just want to let anybody know that don't give up. And like, doing these videos is like showing me too, like, to not give up. Like, something has to give, something will change. Like, and I hope, like, it doesn't take a traumatic ass incident for things to change. And this is why I got on here and finally started sharing my story, is because the DA cleared me. If the DA really thought that I put my son in danger, there's nothing that anybody could do or say. They would remove him from me. If they had surveillance of me being inside the car, my son being in the car, me doing that, and it just wasn't true. And I thank God that they listened and did the right thing. Like, where was be the justice in that? And a lot of people might not understand why I got on here and told my whole story and my son's story, but we don't know what these laws are like until we deal with them, and things need to freaking
That's true.
change.
That is so true.
Are you not gonna meet somewhere? You not want to do that anymore?
This is fucking bullshit what you're doing, man.
Wow.
I'm not keeping him from you. Because your dad thinks that there's an issue too, and your dad is worried for Sam. And my mom's not fucking saying there's not. My mom is, but she fucking trusts me that way. You ain't you.
Ooh, he sound very disrespectful.
She wouldn't do anything, so she needs. Okay, but I don't know that. You don't even have the right to do this, Jasmine. You don't have full custody. I don't. I don't have full custody. I don't. And don't make it go there. You don't need to. I understand that you're upset. I understand. But you put me in a position.
Okay, baby. Thanks for coming through. Love you, sis.
You put me in a position with our son. It's always been a problem. That's why I've been going to therapy. It's always been a problem. Always been a problem, but you're still letting me do it. How is it always still a problem? It's always been a problem, Daniel. It's always been a worry of mine, and I keep finding out more and more. And as the months go on since that day that I found out about it, it has gotten worse. The amount of things that have happened are more and more. And it's brought me to the point where I'm not comfortable. And I'm telling you that I'm not comfortable. And I understand you're getting therapy.
What to do everyday people?
I
My name
would
is
never
Shamoon
want to be
J.
bothered with
Today
him
I'm back
again.
with another
After
lit
he
video.
finished
Back in
therapy,
this
I let him
special
go on
guest
about his
today.
business,
I'm letting
honey.
you know.
Cause baby, no, I'm on. Baby, she seems like she went through a lot. I really feel bad for her. You know. Oh wow. Seemed like she was just failed all the way around the board, y'all. Like all the way around the board. You know, she didn't get a good lawyer with all the money she paid. The judge was not on her side. The lawyer wasn't on her side with all that money she paid. It seems like um, CPS was not on her side. It's like she wasn't getting nothing good out of the deal. But I'm glad now she's finding peace. She shared her story, you know, and she's right. A lot of people need to share their story, whether it's a female or a male. You know, share your truth. You know, because I know sometimes I may say women need to find out who a guy is before they started dating him and having babies by him. But the same thing for a man, you know, because a man can jump in a relationship and don't know who he's dealing with neither. Look at the guy I just shared yesterday and today. After all those many years, 20 years he was married to that woman. He knew after a while she had a mental problem, but didn't know he was sleeping with his worst enemy, which was a narcissist. He didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you can be with somebody for a long time too, and you just don't know who they are, you know, for a minute. You know, it's up to you once you start to find out who they are. Are you going to stay or are you going to leave? Now, if it's kids involved and you're married and you're a good man or a good woman, it's hard to try to break that off. You know what I'm saying? Things can get rough, you know, especially if y'all got kids, your own property together, whatever the situation may be. But them soul ties is deep. They are very deep. They're very heavy. The soul ties will definitely keep you going back. And you think it's love, and it's not love. Those narcissists, they know how to wing you back in. Telling you the kids need this, the kids is sick, come see the kids, this and that. That's just to wing you back in because they use the kids as a pawn. That's what they do. But you know, you got to start and identify like this person is a sick person I'm dealing with, you know, and try to take the best advice you can take from anyone. I don't care who it is, you know, but you got to be honest about it. You can't be living in your lies. You got to live in your truth. You know, if you're going to go to someone from advice and they give you the advice, you got to be willing to take the advice and stop saying, oh, I'm not with him no more. I'm not with her no more. But on the other hand, you backpedaling, you're going back still sleeping with her, or you're going back still being there, you know, and giving her what she wants. You know, you backpedaling, meaning you're lying, you know, and you get caught up again. You wind up where? In jail, fight another charge. You know, you can't be backpedaling when it comes to when you start saying a woman or a man become aggressive. You got to let it go. And if it ain't no kids involved, that's easy to try to get away from. You know what I'm saying? But when you got kids involved and you're married, y'all got businesses together, that's kind of hard. That's gonna be a little hard thing, and that's gonna end up coming into a court battle. You know what I'm saying? With the divorce, the child support, the visitation rights, and all that stuff. So, whew, it get rough, y'all. It definitely can get rough, and it's not easy at all. You know. But the guy that I covered today and yesterday, I'm gonna tell you something. That man stood on business. I got to give him his props. He stood on his business. Okay. He had people behind him that loved him, his friends that was giving him great advice. It was funny when he said he put a track in her car. that was funny. It was funny, but he was smart about it. You know what I'm saying? Because he needed to know where his children was at, where she lived at. He needed to know a lot of stuff. And he did it smart. So it's a lot. But y'all, I'm going to get up off of here. I love you guys. Thank you guys for timing in. I will have another good story tomorrow. Denise, I don't know if you're still in the chat or not, but you hit me up later if you're still in the chat. I don't know. But for everybody that timed in today, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for rocking out with me. If y'all want to send a super sticker or a coffee, you can, and it would be appreciated. But I love you guys. I love everybody that come in my chat on the daily and rock out with me. No matter what the topic is, y'all just really be there and y'all assist me. So, sis, enjoy. I enjoyed the show. I love you. I love you too, sis. And I also sent you a message. I see you sent me one back. I'm gonna read as soon as I get off. I appreciate you too. Always, always, always. Who tomorrow is what? Friday. I have my 2 days off, y'all. So I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Y'all be safe. Always remember, keep God first. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love.